Welcome back, everybody, to Shapes in the Dark. We last left our rogues. They had just finished an appointment with the Night Watch. We'll have a small passage of time of 3 days from then. The three of you are sitting in your usual spot at the Devil's Rest, and early in one evening. It's about, we'll put it around 7:30 in the evening. It's hard to talk tonight. It's easy for me to say. In the evening on an autumn night at 7:30. There. Spit it out. Now, Fellport is in full swing of its harvest season. Very Halloween-y. Very much people going about in their festivities wearing masks of devils and other spirits. Quite a few individuals are hanging herbs and garlic and other implements of superstition and approved sorcery by the local religions and the Watch. As you guys had traveled to the Devil's Rest for this evening's meal, seeing a string of garlic cloves in the window of one such hovel may or may not have brought a smirk to the lips of the party. Oh yeah, like that's gonna help. We would know by now, wouldn't we, boys? Now, you order your food. A couple of the serving gals bring you a pitcher or two of the house red ale. And you mean to spend at least a good portion of this evening just relaxing, as the past couple cycles have been quite traumatic for you, and your research does not end. Previously this afternoon, earlier this afternoon, an update of the Arborian and Tyrannian conflict hit the city criers. Some grave and foul news befell these people. Now then, it has been confirmed that there were two half-fae women that were meaning to visit the Temple of Great Storms near to the deep wastes of Thorana. This is the location of the temple specifically dedicated to Corwin. These half-fae women were unfortunately raped on the steps of this temple by Tyrannian raiders, one of which did not survive the encounter. The other barely made it home to Brema and pled her case and reported the deeds to the pharaoh. The Queen of Rema then informed the priests, who were not at the temple on their own specific holiday. They were on a pilgrimage. This information has been light upon the ears of all Fae in Fellport, and as we know, Arborians we have reacted to this outrage violently. It's not a surprise that the Dusk Fair folk of the Long Shadow Alley have begun rioting in their streets, and they are almost rushing down to the docks to enlist, to fight along with them. And from here on, the stage curtains open. Tane, would you describe your character for us?
Tane is tall for a Geet, roughly 5'8". He is being a shaman of Agiun, he he wears his horsehair tunic, and thankfully he hasn't had to dirty it as much as of late because they haven't been on the road as much. So he also has his ebon armor, leather armor, and his horsehair cowl is now customarily on his shoulders, as the wound that he sustained bears prominently on the back of his skull, as his black hair hangs down in a ponytail over it. His eyes somewhat darkened around the edges. His pale skin, true to a Geet. Beard's actually carrying down probably to the middle of his belly. It's starting to grow fairly long. Striding confidently next to Fern, he leans over and he says, "Do you think they needed troops for the war? That group's very fired up now."
There's a very much of a ruckus going on right now outside, we'll say. You can hear it.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, Fernlaeus is sitting there with a mug in his hand, sipping it. His fairly new-looking brown robes, similar to the ones he used to wear that were black, gathered about himself in the front, showing the white cloth within. Underneath, you can definitely see the hint of ebon from the breastplate, something he has taken to wearing pretty much all the time that he's outside of his home now, since had an unfortunate incident some time ago with being run through. The helmet that he customarily has been wearing of late is sitting on the floor next to his chair. His shield propped up on the wall behind it. That new ebon blade sheath that is at his hip, with its ibis-headed pommel protruding up just a bit out of those robes. Inside all of those robes is Fernlaeus himself, a tall Umbriad. He has the appearance of an Umbriad. His hair, also pulled back in a ponytail in the back, reflects a bit of red in the firelight tonight. His eyes are the amber color, though they do keep glancing toward the door with the noise outside and such, wondering if someone else might burst through that door to do him harm, as was the last time he was here. Customarily, he would also have his pipe out at this point, but that has remained cased. So he looks over at Tane. He says, "Yeah, the Arboreans are definitely, their sap is up, as they say. I think the overseer can probably would like to get them out of here as soon as possible. So he's probably pushing those ships to load faster as we speak. I just hope their press gangs don't try to come in here and, bring us into it."
Yeah, you're not kidding.
You guys will probably be quite safe from being shanghaied. You'll be perfectly fine.
It's happened before. Anyway.
Was that? Yeah.
So.
Was that Thorin talking?
Yeah, it was actually.
Okay. It has happened before, as I said. He takes another
Right.
drink. Bit of amusement in his eyes at that, he leans forward a bit conspiratorially and looks over to Tay and says, "We found a way. That's why we wanted to get together tonight. We found a way back." So he looks over at Thorne and says, "But I can't tell you how. Yet."
He's just sitting there still nodding at you as his hands are fiddling with something. And he looks
Hammer's will
over at
speak up
Thorn
and say,
just,
well, you can tell him we found a way back and how. You're
Yes.
just bound by pact not to tell who told you.
Okay. So this fellow, he was tall, but was dark, very pale, may have had pointy teeth. Anyway, he told us, I didn't say who he was. He told us that,
the one guy in the guard.
I cannot confirm or deny. But they told us that there is a portal not too far outside the city that apparently, I believe Farad occasionally used. But there's some kind of ritual we have to get our hands on to get through that. I mean, you have your notes in that one that one fellow in the underworld used on us, don't you? Still,
I do. But there's also lots of places out there that I've used and then buried my shit in.
okay.
How do you believe this?
I'm just saying it's to look into. You know,
He looks over at Thorn. We're believing this.
I have it from a reliable source that this information to be true.
there you go.
He picks
It's a
up his
reliable
mug
source.
and takes a big swig of it and puts it down on the table. Oh, that sounds ripe to me.
Well, how will we know if we don't look?
True, we can look. What else?
Oh, Thorn, do you have the anklet on you?
He takes out the rusted, like half broken thing and tosses it on the table. It breaks in half, but yeah.
So
You guys have been busy.
Yeah, that one guard that got away, one of the toughs. He sort of snickers at saying that. That accompanied Farad. He was captured by the guard and crucified, and he was wearing that. And when that was taken off of him, let's just say his body looks a bit better than his body now.
Hopefully we don't have to shackle. Do we all three hold it and chant something?
Well, from what I understand, we have to. We might. Well, this is where it gets a little shady to me. And I was trying to do some research about this, but could find nothing at all. Nothing at the library. It's almost as if someone had gone through and removed anything of use in this area.
That'd be the GM. I'm just
But that we might be able to.
I don't know what you're talking about.
General maintenance.
Yeah, right.
the
That guy.
but,
He's the GM of the library, general maintenance.
right, the overseer.
So yeah, overseer.
Oh
Anyway,
yeah.
Over
As I
GM.
said, this supposedly this is, as you recall, we had one of these things on us when we were in the underworld. Supposedly, had those things been removed from us while we were in the underworld, we would have begun the process of what this guy went through. At least that's what I've been told. So
Well, that presents a new hurdle then.
it does. So the only way we'd be able to actually get our hands on those would either be, well, apparently, as you recall, Farad said that they knew how to make those. So that leaves Ophira.
And we've recently slain him.
Yeah, but Ophira might know.
And
Or-
he's still in Mizarine, as far as we are aware.
So, or we make our way there, get there, and immediately go and find someone to get those from. That we may actually be able to last for a short time that would still, I assume, cause us pain, or find another way. So, the only ways I can think of is, if we journey to the portal and do the ritual to go there. I mean, we're risking our very existence, I think. But we might be able to do some negotiations there with, that little bauble that Thorn is technically carrying around.
What do you think, Thorn? A bauble? Have you diddle in a bauble?
What bauble?
Oh, that one that you have, that I know that you have in that pouch, wrapped up. It was confirmed of what it was.
That bauble.
Yes.
I don't want to touch it. I don't want to think about it.
I don't blame you. I wouldn't either.
I don't want it with us, and I can't just throw it in the trash.
It might be a negotiation tool to allow us to get the protection we need once we get there, possibly.
Well, how long until we decay, though?
I don't know.
That's the issue.
That's the question. We might
will actually make a lore test as I throw my dice on the floor, and he rolls a big fat, actually whopping 5, and he says, "I know of no one who has ever attempted to do this sort of thing."
Can I get a Shadow Lord test?
Wouldn't actually be applicable to here. There's no corruption involved, just the underworld.
I get a general academics test.
It would be the same as a lore test, but I mean, you're not going to really get the same.
That's fine.
You guys have had the same information. If he doesn't know, you won't.
Nothing new. Yeah. Would I by chance know of anyone who has studied the underworld extensively in the area? No. Where would one go to ask a question like that?
A local necromancer?
Yeah, so yeah. We may have the option of talking to a local necromancer, but I mean,
do you know any of those?
Do I? That's a good question. Do I?
As the overseer of the game, do you want to?
I don't. But,
See,
but and I say this, I don't personally know anyone, but I know someone who might.
I know a guy.
Okay. Well, I have some neighbors that happen to worship a certain foul god that tends to necromancers. So
if foul stenches coming out of there in the evenings, like
it would,
bad
smoke. Yes, like horrible things.
Please do, Keith. This would be so fun.
But we could possibly grace some palms of silver and see if there's possibly. Now, it would not. I could not myself do it because they would immediately turn me away. Being a priest of Ibis, they would probably not want to talk to me at all.
And maybe in a priest of Agiun?
They don't have quite as much of a antipathy toward Agiun as they do toward Ibis.
Well, then there's Thorn, who is very friendly with those of at least the Grey Lord.
He may. I mean, his Fern pauses for a moment and starts to think. Because you mentioned the Grey Lord, of course, you brought his pact to mind. And he thinks to himself, okay.
Thorn just looks over at Fernelius. That look gives me cause for worry.
It always does, as you recall.
Is it the bell again?
I owe something to that one.
Oh.
But
and to my knowledge, he can call that favor in whenever he wishes.
That is true. So yeah, it is a worry. But in the meantime, yes, I think maybe our best bet is to speak with the necromancer of some, at some point we're going to have to. If we get the answer to that, that's probably the only way we can do it. And then, of course, the information we get is going to be questionable anyway.
Questionable, questioning.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like this should word.
Now, we could possibly, capture a necromancer and put him to the torture, but even then, that may not, may lie to us just to, just to make it stop.
And they're not so afraid of the afterlife as we are.
You want to capture a necromancer in Felport. This city is known for its shadow-haunted and cobweb-festooned alleyways where there are whores and sorcerers on every corner. You want to capture a necromancer.
Sounds like a good idea.
There should be plenty to select from. But I would think, though, diplomacy first, though, my friends. Diplomacy first. We should speak to them before we try to capture them. So there should be plenty in the area. We can start asking around. I know a few people, a very few people that have their ear to the street, if you will, that I might be able to inquire about. Purveyors of forbidden knowledge, if you will.
And Tane reaches up and wiggles his finger like, we need another drink over here.
Yeah, finish off my tankard. And
she comes back over with a pitcher, and she takes the empty one.
I'll ask for some bread and cheese too, because I don't want to drink so much and get drunk without eating something. All
right.
So I think that would be our next step, is to find someone who can answer that question, that we can be fairly reasonable, will tell us the truth. Okay.
The floor is yours, gentlemen. Whatever you wish. Thorn is just a torchbearer for this campaign.
So in this situation, this is a question to our overseer.
Mm-hmm.
Would my academic knowledge give me information about people who study certain things that may be in the area, that basically other academic, people who have certain reputations?
Other academics?
Yes.
I would hope so.
Okay, so I'm going to do an academic roll and see if I know of anyone who actually studies the underworld.
Specifically the underworld.
Yes. It's going to be a 25.
You know a few.
Okay. I know a few people that we could possibly talk to. They're not necessarily necromancers, as far as I know, but they study the subject, and they might be able to shed some light on it. A handful, There's not very many who actually study that subject, but then again, in Felport, with the libraries and the schools and such that we have here, the knowledge base, they come here for that. So I think, and he sort of leans his head over to the side, looks out toward the door to listen to the commotion outside. Maybe in the morning we might want to go up and speak to at least one or two of them, possibly.
So, Rafe,
Yo, what's up?
Would it have been possible, considering I was pretty well traveled previously, that there was a chance that I had run across or came across a necromancer out in the wild, so to speak, nearer to Felport?
That you did not cut their throat? An individual that may or may not have been a necromancer who walked away alive?
Right. Maybe they did something kind to me, which was surprising.
Sure. You have not seen that person since you've come back to Felport, though.
How far? Roughly speaking?
Probably in one of the outlying villages, near to the cemetery. When I say the cemetery, everyone knows the cemetery outside Felport on the edge of the bog.
It's big.
Oh, yeah. It's not a necropolis, but it's a fairly sizable field of tombstones.
So, I have my academic friends. You know anyone, Tane?
I might have run across a hag outside the city.
Okay. Well, shall we brave the night and go exploring for this hag of yours? I'm sure the necromancers probably do their best work under the darkness.
That's what I hear.
So
yeah, I could use a breath of fresh air, and maybe we both go for a ride. Let some horses stretch their legs as well.
You can. So he'll fernlay us with if the waitress brings a bread and cheese, he'll break it into 3 pieces so each has some, and then do the same with the cheese. And he'll mutter a little prayer of thanks and asking for the protection. Not a ritual, just a prayer. So, and
Thorn pays the bill.
Okay, right. And then as we're done, finish my mug off, put it down, stand up, grab my stuff, and say, "Well, let's go see your horses, my friend."
That brings a smile to my face.
You know, I have an appreciation for those beasts now that I didn't have before. They're not nearly as bad as I thought they would be.
Yeah, I could say the same about you, my friend.
Oh yes, oh I'm sure. So I am definitely an acquired taste, as I've been told. Okay.
Well, I can
You
say
guys
that.
leave the tavern. You see a couple war bands of Arborians kind of clustered off in their own little troops, like 4 or 5 of them. They're having, they're sitting down around like small makeshift campfires in the street, just in mobs,
Okay.
having their own meal, preferring to eat with their own kind, if you will.
Okay.
They don't accost you any, though.
Okay. I will still not approach too closely. You know, sort of weave my way in between the different groups that are out there, and you know, try not to get caught up in any of their internal debates or whatnot. Because though Arborians in general are warlike people, they're very honorable, but you don't have to drink at anyone. They may see enemies everywhere.
So, are you, well, last week when you were here, Dave, I went ahead and placed the horses that you had captured amongst your own people. There is, it's not your tribe, obviously, but there is an encampment, sizable encampment of Geats outside of the city walls that are less metropolitan, if you will. They're here for trade, but
Right.
we're not in the mood or so willing to pay an innkeeper when there's land out here and stone walls make us itch. You have made a good friend amongst them, and who's not a shaman, but he's also very devout of Agion, and he is seeing over your herd.
What name does he go by?
The name that he goes by, it's actually she. Excuse me. Her name is Brunhild.
Yeah. Okay. No.
You know, there's like 4 or 5 different ways to spell that name.
Yes.
But they all sound the same.
Yeah, right. She, excuse me. He, yeah, right now. She is very devout and takes care of horses well. She has a focus as a 0 level commoner. She has a skill focus in husbandry, wild lore, and apothecary. So she's kind of a wise woman, but she's not old enough to be a babushka by any means. She needs like 30 more years and to have kids and grandkids. So
Well, she's still pretty cute.
Yeah, she's cute and she's single and she does a good job. Hey.
You did do a good job.
Now, you can pick up a few steeds there. Just the two of you will be going on this trek. Thorn is going to see about possibly calming the nerves of his dusky cousins in the Long Shadow Alley. One of the lords who sees over that portion of the city, as well as manages the Fae, the Dusk Fair Folk portion of the Ebon Guard, is quite displeased with the events, things going on. So Thorn's going to attempt to play for him.
Nerves.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Very good.
So, on the edge of the city, you have your horses. The floor is yours.
So, the cemetery is this way,
Okay.
I think.
Fern looks around.
Yeah, you guys both know you don't need a traveling check. You can see it from the gates.
Yeah, that way. It's over there. So
we start with a leisurely stroll, and I kind of look over at Fern and notice that he doesn't have the posture that he once had. He's actually looking comfortable.
Yeah. I've been paying attention. Yeah. You spend a cycle and a half on one of these. You pick up a few things. He's keeping pace. He's properly swaying when he's supposed to sway and bouncing when he's supposed to bounce. Using his legs to support himself instead of slamming against the saddle at every little hitch of the horse he's riding. He's by no means a master, but he is no slouch anymore. While we're out here, are there a lot of encampments of Arboreans outside the city as well?
Oh, yeah. You can't throw a rock without hitting about 8 of them.
So he's going to be basically wending his way between these encampments, trying not to ride through any of them.
Right.
And trying to avoid the commotion, because I'm sure every time he catches a voice, he'll be hearing the curses and such in Feywise these fellows are uttering about what they've heard. He'll look over at Tane and say, bad news travels extremely fast, faster than one can even hear, and much faster than good news ever does.
True.
This is going to be one epic story if someone gets a chance to write it down eventually.
Couple hours on the road, you find yourself in the village of Brost. This is one of the smaller, more nondescript villages, but it's one of the ones that you have to go through if you're going to travel on the road to get to the main city. Last you heard, Tane, this was the home of this hag.
Okay.
So how will we find this hag? Who's to ask for her, or is there somewhere that you should be looking for her at?
Well, was the occasion at her hut, or did I meet her on the road?
I was out in the wilderness. You did not travel by the tradeway coming down from the north.
Well, when I met her, she was out a ways. I remember her being named Balgan.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So I would think that Brost is not that large, from what I recall.
It's about 80 people.
So I think that it shouldn't be too difficult to locate her hovel. That is, unless she's out and about.
Of course, if we happen to walk into the local tap house and ask after her, we maybe, her being a hag and all, they may decide to accuse us of witchcraft. But how else will you find something than go and ask a question? So at least make a quiet inquiry, I would suppose.
True.
They do have something akin to a tap house, but is a single room building. It's very poor excuse for a bar.
Yeah, it's probably just a place that keeps the water off your head while you have your ale or whatever they happen to have that night.
Right.
Okay.
Well, that's the dining room, because the dining room is more of a porch area.
Yeah, but that's maybe all they have.
Right.
Just the porch area. Nothing else was added to yet.
You'll see from the last time that you were here, Tane, they had put up a kind of a lattice structure over the top to keep the rain off. It wasn't there last time.
Oh, wow. They've done some improvements.
Fern looks at this place, looks back over at Tane and says, improvements? They burned it?
You fell portions.
He'll take the horse up, dismount and put the reins around a post there, a hitching post nearby, so that the horse doesn't wander off. And
I bring my mare right up behind me and set down at the table right next to the edge of it, and then I just wave over. I wouldn't imagine there's a lot of people here unless.
No, it's really not. The smell of hard cider is pretty thick on the wind here, though. Keep you warm.
I guess they're serving cider tonight, or at least their apples may be rotten otherwise. But yeah,
Well,
he sits down and looks around.
There is a lad, not a serving girl, but a lad of like maybe all of 13 cycles old, who comes out and brings you a couple. You would like to assume they're clean mugs, cleaner
with alcohol.
But yeah, this cider's been fermenting a while, so there's no small amount of alcohol in there, so it might be safe. There is.
Does he look like he's been taking sips?
Yeah, he's wavering. This kid is very much drinking underage.
Very good.
Whether or not to keep the cold away from him, or because he started early as a lush, but you don't quite know. There is one. You know what? Just for the sake of uniqueness, this tap house, tap tent, tap hovel is owned by this village's babushka, and you can assume that this is her grandson, named Lush, of course. She kind of gives you a curt nod and goes back to her knitting.
Let me give her a polite nod. Young man.
He'll raise his glass to her and sip.
He comes
I'll
back
do the
over.
same and say,
He's wavering though, still wavering.
You look tired. Have you had a long shift?
I've been working since dawn.
Good for you. Well, that'll be
Drinking
accounted for in your
midday.
tip. I believe it.
Yeah,
Do you do you know of any strange occurrences locally?
Besides the angered Fae, no, actually. And well, the Pike Lord has learned of the angry spirits from across the sea, of which I don't know what they're called, but
You're doing fine.
something has angered the Fae, and now the Pike Lord is upset. There's hardly any fish in the river now.
That is pushes more eating of apples and drinking of apples.
It's alive.
No, I was thinking more of one who maybe is not so welcome around here, if you get my drift.
Are you talking about witches?
Nod.
Your tip just went up.
So there was one. Well, no, there were two. I remember. Two.
Yeah, there were two.
There were two. Yeah, I'm not kidding. There were two.
Are there still two?
No, one escaped, and she was accused of cavorting with troll hags.
Okay.
But there's another one, and she lives near the river, near to the Pike Lord. They're quite neighborly. The Pike Lord doesn't like anybody.
No.
But there's fish. And
he does
frogs.
like fish. And yeah, frogs too.
Uh,
You're right. You're pretty swift for your age.
he kind of stands up a little bit taller and just kind of like almost falls the fuck over.
Do you remember the name?
And no, her name, it starts with a B. I don't know. I don't know her, but she had this huge warty nose.
Yeah?
I do remember that.
Did she get it in your face or something?
No.
Oh.
They say that if you don't wear your shoes to bed, she'll come into your house and eat your feet.
Uh-oh. Did you lose any toes?
I've not. No.
Good lad.
My
So
babushka says if I drink enough cider, then I won't feel my feet when the hag comes to eat them, so it won't matter.
Reasonable.
That's a good point.
Very reasonable.
Plus, when your feet sweat, they mold to your feet better.
And she sees after the corner, the babushka stops her knitting for just a few moments, and you know how grandmas can just like hear anything. It doesn't matter what she's doing.
Your grandmother.
She keeps going.
So this Balgan that you were talking about.
Don't say it, her name.
Oh, well, I hold up my fob and my horsehair. I am a man of Agiun.
Oh.
She is with us tonight. Ibis a little bit, but mostly Agiun.
Ibis is that the duck god, right?
Ibis
From
god.
across the sea, that's a duck.
It's not a duck.
A
It's
water bird of some kind, like a
bird, yes.
swan.
Like a platypus, or
No, that's a horse from across the ponds.
water. There's a lot of breeds of horses.
I was told it was a water bird, like a duck or a goose.
Closer to a goose.
I do not know these things.
It's okay. So,
But you know many things. You're doing fine. So you say down by the river.
She lives in well, I'm not supposed to say. And he kind of just like steals a look over his babushka, and her babushka's like,
Fern takes 3 copper coins and places them on the table, just sort of over next to where the boy is. He just looks at him. Says, "You're a very kind young man, and don't worry, copper actually helps ward away evil spirits too." I'll tell you what. You see this? This means I am a sage, or I think in these areas they call the class a priest of Ibis. He reaches over and he'll say a couple of sentences in Yethite, and he'll say, "There you go. Those are blessed now. Those coins will bring you luck."
See?
Oh, so I shouldn't spend them.
No, you don't want to spend those because those are very lucky. You keep
If
them on
I
you,
put
the worse-
them in my shoes, my shoes when I sleep, will they keep the hag away?
Oh, yes. What you should actually do, though, is take one and place it above your door, and that will protect your entire house.
Oh.
Tane is just looking at him with like this look of why are you doing this to this poor kid?
It's awesome.
And I slide 3 copper over to him and say, since the first 3 are blessed and you'll want to obviously hold on to those, this is extra. So, thank you. You were about to say something, though.
She lives. Oh, I'm not supposed to say. He just kind of looks over at Babushka, who's actually no longer sitting in her rocking chair. He's like, oh. She lives under a willow tree in this big log, big, ugly, naughty log. But she hangs fish heads all over the place. The
Beautiful.
Pike Lord protects her house. I don't want to incur the wrath of the Pike Lord. No.
I wouldn't either.
No. Well, it's fortuitous that we are here because we may be able to help keep her down for a couple days.
At least convince her to stay away from your village.
Well, sometimes young ladies also go to her when they have a problem.
Of course.
She solves.
You didn't create these problems, did you?
No.
He's the goat skin lad.
No. He looks at you like, what are you talking about, kind of thing.
That must be something new to your tribe. Goat skin.
Oh, what does the skin of goats do?
It's intestine. You put it, you seal the tip, and then it becomes a sleeve.
A sleeve for what?
Yes,
your cock, young man.
He kind of gives you this like, look.
Fern just looks over at Tane like, what the hell?
Why would you want to put
so that it catches it all and doesn't plant the seed?
You kind of get the feeling that this kid's not old enough to like girls yet. Like, it's the kind of look he has on his face.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the future, they'll be.
Far be it from me. Yeah.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't
worry about it.
Sort of a questioning look on his face.
Can we get a couple apples for the road and for our horses?
Yeah, he'll go over to a bushel basket nearby, and he'll bring you out 4 apples. And he'll push one of the coins back to you, Tane, and he'll just take the 2.
Okay, and that covers everything plus a tip?
He takes that 3rd coin back.
Okay.
Smart lad.
She kind of thought about it from okay.
Yeah, I can totally see it though. He probably slid 2 away, and then he was watching me, and I didn't reach over and grab it, so he just reached out and grabbed it anyway.
Yeah, very much so.
Inhibitions lowered and all that.
As the boy walks off, I look over at Tane and say, "And you were telling me about telling the boy wives' tales, and then that thing with the goat."
It's goat intestine. It's just easier to say goat skin.
Why would you even do that? I mean, at this point, he's sort of standing up and walking toward the horses. He's saying that. That's just the oddest thing I've ever heard of.
That's okay.
I mean, you don't want to get pregnant with a goat, do you?
He just shakes his head and laughs, and he's like,
I mean, for all I know, that's how satyrs are made, right? I don't know.
Tane's just sitting there like, wow, and they call us rednecks.
Yeah, these guys are podunk as shit.
Anyway.
Even this close to the city, yeah. Ooh.
Mm-hmm. So at least this way the boy will sleep well tonight and not worry about his feet being gnawed off by a witch.
That's true. Hopefully he doesn't put those coins down there.
Yeah, Fern sort of shudders. He says, really better for him. And then just the idea of waking up and looking down and seeing an old hag sitting there, no, my foot. Just, no.
Stealing his copper.
No.
That's what brought her in. See, I told you, man. It was a bad idea.
Other way. So
she smelled the copper.
Now we know where she's at least. So probably, I don't know. Copper is supposed to be good for your feet anyway, I think. I'm not sure. I know that there was this one priest at one point that I remember hearing about that actually wore copper sandals. And he claimed that it made his feet ache less in the cold weather. I think he just couldn't feel them because they were so cold.
I think he's full of shit.
Could be.
As he takes another sip of his cider.
Mm-hmm. So Fern finishes off his cider, sets it down, and gets up and says, "Well, let's go find this hag of yours." And
when you guys stand up, I need conditioning tests. This is pretty potent alcohol.
23.
Nah, you'll be fine.
I got a 28.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
I've had it before, so I'm kind of antidote. But it was very tasty.
Oh, definitely.
Very appley, very fibery.
Have to get some point come on my way back into town, possibly.
I'll feed one of those apples to my mare, and then
I'll do the same with I'll basically sort of mimic Tane and feed one of the other apples to the horse that I'm carrying, or is carrying me, I should say.
Yeah, you're carrying the horse.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Conditioning test.
Yeah, right.
As I'm feeding it to her, I kind of look around and I see it, and I'm like, "Oh, your fingers need to be straight out."
Yeah, he's okay. He makes sure. He makes sure he holds his hand straight out.
You don't want them nibbling your fingers.
No. That would hurt. Large teeth, very large teeth. Yes. So he pats the forehead of the horse between the ears. Says, "Good. Does this have a name? Did you ever name them?"
That one was Fordrin.
Okay. Good, Fordrin. You've done well. And he goes over and mounts up and says, "Well, lead the way."
So I start plodding my way out of the village. Where did the babushka go? Was she still within eyesight, or did she leave?
She went back into her hovel, and so you guys were kind of in her, I suppose, effectively her living room. As she, the back of the house is a bedroom / prep kitchen kind of thing. Yeah,
I got you. Okay, it's the private dining suite.
All right. Yeah.
All right, so we make our way out. We're not riding hard or anything. We're just taking leisurely, so we're not making a ruckus or anything.
No, some of the Arborian encampments have turned from growling curses to the quite melodic face singing of the autumn, and quite nice change of pace and change of mood for the countryside, as I kind of on the wind.
Yeah, Fern will sing along as he hears it. He'll sing a few bars as well.
You find yourselves on the edge of the bog that is the Pike Lord's domain, and picking your way. You actually have to dismount to get through because it starts to sink and the earth gets soft. The horses may or may not need no small amount of bathing when you leave, but they can manage. It's not comfortable, but they can manage. The mosquitoes here are quite thick, even in autumn. But you do find this bent and gnarled willow tree with this poor excuse of a lean-to hut hovel thing that this hag Belgium has called home. And yes, the boy was correct. He hangs pike heads everywhere, fishbone totems, and dream
Shadow Lord.
catcher-like implements.
Shadow Lord check to see if this is actually being serious or not. Well,
maybe
that's going to be an 11.
I
rolled low.
Wow, that's that's you have a hunch, but you're not for certain. Okay. You're not pleased. That's the minimum. Yeah.
This could be dark magic. What do you think, Tank?
What was the check you just rolled?
Shadow Lord.
Shadow Lord.
I got an 18.
She dabbles. She dabbles.
Could we have had a conversation on the road about, since he has knowledge of them and we both have knowledge, I guess, to one degree or another, but what type of, obviously she's going to want a gift of something, a boon, a favor. We probably would have talked that out on the road.
Yeah.
You guys did not say anything previously, so you want to do it now in our front yard?
Well, I mean, we can, well, in that case, I'll Dane, do you bring anything?
There's a bullfrog that croaks nearby, like 5 feet away. Real loud and obnoxious, too.
Well, I did bring this. He reaches into one of his saddlebags and brings out a quarter wheel of cheese. Do you think this would work?
It's possible. Maybe we could take the heart off of Thorn's hands and give it to her.
That might be a little bit too much to give to someone that close to Fairport.
What I understand, also not here.
Yeah,
that's true. We'd have to go back, but
with what I understand, that thing. Yeah, if I will be very quiet about talking about that. Let's just say that. And that's me talking. So, but
well,
hopefully cheese will work. I mean,
right, and I do have a couple poultices on me, so
cheese and medicine. I mean,
let's just go in and barter cautiously.
Sounds good to me. So he looks around for a place to tie his horse up. So, you think it'll be okay? He looks at Tane.
Well, I'm pretty sure my mare will be. She's been to the underworld after all.
It's true. So he looks over and says, "Okay, Forgan, stay close to the mare. She'll protect you."
I tie their reins together loosely.
All right.
And I began approaching, and within 20 feet of it, 30 feet is the custom. And I say, "Hail the stump."
The stump? It's a little derogatory.
We seek Valgan.
You what passes for a window on this thing? You see like movement in there, and you see this old crone's head is kind of like peek out from this thing. It was, and again, the boy was right. He's a huge nose, warty old thing.
I remember that.
He peeks out and opens her front door. She peeks out and she says, "The stump?"
Your home. It's a fine piece of work.
She like pokes her head out, looks down, looks around. He looks up.
Very well crafted. Looks like it actually would blend in with the forest around here. That I applaud your artistic
Ingenuity.
ability.
Mm-hmm.
The hell?
He looks over at Tane. I just called it a stump.
It's a big stump.
So,
It doesn't translate well.
okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. My friend here does not speak our language as his native tongue. He meant no offense. We have cheese.
She just cocks his bushy ass eyebrow at you. The
We'd like
hell
to
would I
speak
want with cheese?
You can eat it. We just like to talk. I'm a scholar. I'm looking for some knowledge, and I've been told that you're a person who may have that knowledge. My friend Tane here is a bodyguard.
We are acquainted, are we not?
I
am
remember
told
Tane.
that ladies of your kind have a long memory.
She she smiles real crookedly at you, and Tane, why don't you come inside here? I've just made supper.
Well, I appreciate it, but we've already filled our bellies with sup already, but don't take offense.
Fern looks over at Tane and says, Tane, you can't do that.
She just
Hospitality.
stares at you.
And Fern looks up and says, it'll be my pleasure to sup with you, ma'am. Maybe we can add this cheese to the meal and make it something we've both contributed to.
Yes, I believe that my friend speaks good words.
So may we come in and dine with you, ma'am?
As she goes back inside, she doesn't close the door.
So I follow her in.
I'll follow Tane.
You got to stoop in to get there. You're like way too damn tall for this place, and she's crotchety old bitch. And she inside this stump, quite literally. It's really all the accoutrements of what would be a country witch's home. She's hanging herbs on every portion of the wall. You really don't see the wall. It's just herbs, jars, glass, and clay implements all over the place. She has a big copper cauldron over the fire, and she's cooking something. You see a frog leg in there. She points on this big arthritic fucking finger and think, oh, that frog wasn't quick enough.
Smells delicious.
Smells horrible. But at least, I mean, there's protein in there, you think. Obviously, with the frog, obviously there is. But
The apothecary, might I be able to identify some of the things that may be in this thing?
That wouldn't be apothecary. That wouldn't be provisioning.
Okay.
This is because this is cookery.
I will smell them. I will use our vision then. Okay. That one is going to be a 18.
She has a blend of local herbs, spices, frog, fish, potatoes. It's basically a really thick, almost a chili of bunch of shit in there.
Gumbo.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, gumbo, basically
There you go.
gumbo.
Okay. So-
If it was rice, I think it'd be jambalaya. But yeah,
You can rice and gumbo too, but anything gumbo.
Mm.
Yeah. So after sniffing of it, he looks over at Tane and says, "It won't kill us." So
I didn't think so.
especially with some cheese in it. So he takes the cheese and lays it over on one of her. Well, tries to find a place to sit it down for her.
There's a bullfrog sitting on a chair, and it just stares at you.
Okay.
And
I'll
she
stare
just
back
scowls at this thing, and it jumps off the chair.
I will actually sit down myself into the chair, and then offer the cheese up to her and say, "With my compliments, ma'am."
Oh, yeah, she'll take the cheese and like she'll cut it up a little bit and like throw a couple chunks in there. So what do you want, Jane?
Well,
My ankle's healed nicely. She
that's good.
shoots you a look. You don't know what that look says or means. She just
Should I can take a look at any of your other maladies while we're here.
No. My old bones do not need any of your
You do
horse
look fit.
hands.
You look very fit for your age.
Am I not old and warty and wretched?
Well,
I live
when
out here in
compared
the swamp.
when compared to who?
Well, I was young and beautiful once, I will tell you.
Well, speaking of your black soul, we are inquiring.
You know what, actually, yeah, she kind of giggles at that. Yeah.
We are inquiring of your knowledge and expertise in the matter.
My knowledge and expertise in what?
Necromancy.
She stops what she's doing and she just turns to look at you real fucking creepy like.
Fern just sits there and he's just sort of smiling a little bit.
Tane is very blunt at times. He's not trying to be rude. It's just the way he was brought up, and so he's looking at her just innocent and all.
Yeah, Fern has this look on his face like he just ate that frog. Like,
Well, you call an ace an ace or a spade, whatever. Your craft. You know. Wait, we're amongst friends right now. We've not come.
Tay looks at Fern and looks back. We've not come here to cause you any trouble. I can assure you of that.
She still hasn't said anything. She's looking at you guys real hard.
We wish to go to the underworld.
Jesus. He goes straight for the fucking big guns. And I just crit failed too. Oh, fuck.
We'd like to come back.
Her eyes wide as saucers.
At that, Fern will just grin.
Wow.
Back to the underworld, I should say.
Yes.
She drops her ladle in the cauldron there. You are not leaving here until you tell me everything. And she comes over and she puts her fucking filthy goddamn claws on you.
Out of character, I think we just figured out our boon or favor, right?
And she presses this warty nose against yours.
You're gonna have to buy me a drink first, lady.
I want to know. She shakes you like a British nanny.
We'd be happy
with you.
to share our experience, but okay. So Fern is the better storyteller. I could hack it up all very well, but I believe that I will ask Fern to regale us with the travel.
What have said everything that you wish to know, man? Because there are many tales I can tell. But is there a specific thing you're interested in about the underworld?
All of it. Start at the
Well-
beginning. She finally lets go of Tane. She
Well-
goes back to her cauldron. She ladles up your guys' food, and she
About
goes and sits in her rocking chair.
About 203 cycles ago, my mother met a very interesting fellow up on the road.
Not, I guess that does apply. I was about to say not that far back, but I guess it does apply.
So this fellow, they had a tryst on a given night. And then he vanished, of course, the next morning, as many a man does, leaving her with a future bundle of joy myself. After I was born, though, she understood that I am not like other children. I have certain needs. As he reaches into his inside of his robes and pulls out his customary little flask, pops it open, and very specifically pours the blood into the gumbo she gave him. He caps it, puts it back, and then stirs it with the with his knife. Takes a bit of a sip. Is it any good, by the way?
Yeah, she's actually looks are quite deceiving. She's a pretty damn good cook.
His eyes would go wide a little bit. He's like, actually, that is quite good, ma'am. I'd love the recipe before I leave.
It's not a transcendental experience, but this is top 3 meals that you've had probably in your long life.
So he says, yes. He said, I would actually like the recipe before I leave, if possible. But as I said, to get back to my story, I was born a person of two worlds. As you can tell by looking at me, I am of the Umbriads. But, and he grins and makes his fangs very prominent, I am also of another.
And she actually get up and can come over to you and have a look at your teeth there.
Ma'am, if you would please. He actually holds his mouth open a bit and sort of shows her. I don't want to tell.
This old bird is.
Yes. So my mother, with the wonderful compassion that she lacked as a mother, named me Fernaleus, which in my language,
that's dead baby.
Yes.
Oh.
So
you poor dear.
Most of my life, I have been in pursuit of my parentage, to be my father, and I was recently able to do so in a land known as Mizarine. Are you familiar with it?
I have heard of this place.
Well,
I was under it's real.
Yes, very much so.
Oh.
But not the easiest place to get to unless you have to be captured by a vampire named Farad, spits on the floor. I'm sorry about that. That was a reaction. I do apologize. He takes another sip of the soup, actually a good sized gulp of it, and lets out as he drinks. That is actually very good.
And they grow back too.
They do grow back, yes. We found ourselves there through mischance and a bit of lies by this fraud fellow, where I was able to eventually meet my father, who was about as interested in me as my mother was, and several other vampire lords along the way. They seem to rule there as some kind of nobility.
I don't suspect that vampires would be very kindly parents.
No.
It shocks me that a fey woman of the Umbriads treats her child as such. Are you an only child?
No, I'm not.
Well,
she has other children.
Are you the eldest of your siblings?
Yes, I am.
Oh.
There are many who are younger than me that are treated more as her own children, whereas I think she was afraid of me. That maybe the encounter with my father may have broken her mind slightly. And
Well, you can if that is the case, and if your mother's mind is not as sound as it once was, you cannot hold that against her.
true.
But she takes a pause. She takes a step back from you, and almost like she's kind of like that 1,000-yard stare of like a Vietnam vet.
Mhm.
She's remembering a whole host of shit right now.
Okay.
And it comes back to her, and she kind of like snaps out of it and says, mothers have a large job to do, and not everyone should be a mother.
Agreed. I've met several women who should not be mothers, but I digress.
She
Let's
goes
say
back and she sits in her rocking chair. She goes, I am not a mother. She sits down. She's sitting there with that old lady grunt as she sits down.
Okay. He says, but as I said, we spent quite a time in the underworld, meeting several different ones, different lords and ladies of this land. One more treacherous than the next. Until we were given, well, a friend of ours who is not with us, was given the task of performing a song for the Lord of all vampires there. And also
Or Moldark.
Yes, Moldark. He is a very
He must be quite
imposing
skilled
figure.
as a bard.
Have you heard of the Thorns?
I have.
He is one of them. So
That is not surprising.
he could not join us today because he apparently is trying to calm the Arborians in the city of yonder way.
Yes.
Carrying some torch around, and
He is, yes.
Someone has angered the Fae, and I
Yes.
believe these people, these Tyrannians, these foreigners are. When you anger the Fae, they will rebalance the scales.
Some may say overbalance it a bit in their favor. But yes, they do. But once again, back to the story, we wound up making our way out of his castle on a bit of a mission to rid an area of his lands of interlopers. And when we encountered said interlopers, they were not what we expected. And through the, several attempts at communication, we found ourselves back in our world of the living, but quite some distance away. And the entire cycle took about three cycles for us to get back here and find ways to do things. But we have unfinished business there with Moldark. We must go back.
She puts a hand up and says, if I understand your tale correctly, through one form of skullduggery or another, you found yourselves in the clutches of a vampire who had transported you through and sorcelled you in some way into the realm of the dead. And then you found yourselves in the company of entities who ensorcelled your way back here, and you have unfinished business with the Lord of Vampires.
Yes. Apparently, our friend Amorous thinks he needs the same for him.
Methinks your friend needs to choose a different profession, and you lads should probably wash your hands of vampires and go back home.
No, I would, but he sort of raises his hands as if to, motion toward himself. I don't have that option.
Well,
how does one wash their hands of oneself?
What do you want of me then? She leans back in her chair and she looks very expectantly and hard at Tane.
And I just lean back and look very hard and expectantly at Fern because I haven't heard this part of it yet.
Well, what we would like to know is there may be We understand if one goes to the underworld or a place like Misery, which is adjacent thereof, and one is living, it's not long before the world itself begins to eat at you, to break you down, as it were. Much
That's
like here,
correct.
when one dies, one begins to break down. But there are certain ways to prevent that, or at least forestall that for a period of time. And we thought possibly someone with knowledge of that world might know of a means of procuring such a protection. We had seen while we were there anklets that were worn by all living beings there. They did not come back to this world with us.
I do know that the living cannot travel in the realm of the dead, and the dead only under specific circumstances can return to the realm of the living. However, what I could do for you would only be temporary.
When you say temporary, how temporary? A few days, a chain?
Maybe a few chains at most.
So long enough to escort a wayward young fae to the underworld, allow him to sing for the Lord of all vampires, and possibly come home. Maybe. Or at least long enough to procure said bracelet on our own. They seem to be pretty plentiful in the underworld. At least in Misery.
It won't be cheap.
We do have a bit of means.
What is your asking price?
She thinks for a few moments.
Considering the story with information we've shared and, kindness
Do you have paper?
given and taken.
Or parchment? No chance.
I have plenty of parchment.
If you'll give me a few sheets, I can do things like, say, for instance, write the names of the lords of the vampires of Misery down for you. I can even possibly draw you and describe to you the bracelets or the anklets that were worn there, including the runes etched upon their surface.
I'm listening.
Would that be something that would be valuable?
It could be.
Valuable enough for what you're asking.
For me to perform this thing for you, it will take a lot out of me.
Of course.
A ritual of this magnitude might kill me.
So, more than information, then what would you consider to be a proper exchange for such risk?
I have been interested in the ways of banshees for some cycles now. If you can give me something that would help me in my understanding of these beings. I will do with what you ask.
Fern smiles and says, I do have a bit of a tale I can tell. Although it is not technically my tale to tell. He looks over at Tane.
You do a better job with the words.
If
Yes.
it's Tane's tale, I would like to hear it from his lips.
Well, as you might imagine, when you're in the underworld, you're exposed to the darkness in a greater way. And I'd have to say that it was taken in hold of me. We came upon some bandits on the road, and the fury came over me, and I screamed out the name of the Banshee goddess. And as I killed the foe and sent the soul to her. Later that evening, I was woken in my sleep to a draw outside of the settlement we were staying in. And as I walked out past the wall of the village, a woman in white cloth with long black hair was looking for me. And before I could stop her, she kissed me.
She kind of like, her eyes, she raised her eyebrows and I'm like, oh, really?
And that's what I remember until the dawn of the morning when I woke up and was laying on my back and outside the wall of the city. But I had been given a gift of removing the darkness from my body. But I also had hair in my mouth. It was residual. But it goes a little further than that, because she seemed to think that she had gotten her stakes into me as a subject. And during another wound that I received, unrelated to her, he cocks his head forward and shows the wound. It was grievous. I was having fitful sleep and dreams, and one of the dreams I was met with the same being, and she was crafting an effigy of skin, hair, in the shape of what you might see a doll. She tried to thrust this upon me and expected me to take it as my fetish. I denied it. Unfortunately, in my sickly state, my friend Fern touched the effigy and it sent him into a darker spiral of shadow. Thankfully, our friend Thorn was there to sound mind, and he picked it up with a cloth and put it into the fire and burned it. I don't think it came back.
No, you still have that thing on you.
I thought we burned it.
Nope.
I thought he put it in the fire, though.
No, he tried to. We actually have it on record that it was not burned and given back to you.
Yes. I recall now. It was thought to be a bad omen to burn it, that it would be disposed of at some later time.
I have not been able to dispose of it yet. I bring it out and set it on the table.
Sickly, horrible flesh thing that that's been plaguing your dreams since then.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, regardless of how beautiful these undead fairy women are, well, we kind of, we're not into that sort of thing.
She keeps up in the, the level every time too, but
Right. They get more and more depraved as time goes on.
Bird shudders to see the thing.
He picks it up with the cloth and puts it back in his bag, and he says, but we also have tales of dealing with a, where was the offering that we made?
The offering? Which one? We made several.
We cleaned up the home of the, what was the name of the creature?
The Leshen?
The Leshen, yes. Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
We dealt with the Leshen there who had lost their spouse, still taking care of their children.
The one who did that was dealt with very harshly.
Considering the circumstances, they dispatched a parent to children and was not something that you should do.
Mm-mm. What became of this Leshen?
As far as we know, still lives in the woods.
Yes. With its children.
The
local village sees it as some kind of minor forest deity of some type and are helping tend to it and its children. Within reason, of course.
But the baying stopped once we helped it.
Give me that flesh totem and I will help you.
What are the ramifications behind that?
I don't know.
I mean, I'm asking the overseer, not the Falcon. Can I get a shadow lord?
Sure. Roll for it.
From a different perspective, occult insight.
Oh, okay. There's no small amount of sorcery in that flesh totem anyway.
27 on occult insight.
No.
25 on a shadow lore.
You might, one of two things can happen. You could either sleep nicely for once, thank the gods, or you could very much upset the one that had given it to you, and in addition to that, Keith, you might you with that role, you might be able to confirm that Tane might curse his entire line with that if Malgora if she decided to pull an Aphrodite and be that much of a grudge mistress.
He'll turn and look at Tane and say that and look back to the hag and say what you asked can possibly be as dire, if not more so, for Tane than you doing this ritual. If he were to give you this and offend Malgora by doing so, do you have any kind of ability to mollify her in the process?
I am not devout of Malgora. I'm studying her ways. I am not an acolyte of hers.
Well, then would being allowed to study this be enough of a payment? For we'd like to all walk away from this with their lives and souls intact.
That is my price for this.
So the potential curse of a man's line for multiple generations. Seems a very steep price.
Do you wish to continue to do business with these vampires, or do you wish to risk yourselves? I think you're risking yourselves either way.
But in this case, if Tane were to go to the underworld and himself be ensnared in their machinations, he would be himself ensnared. But by giving that to you, he could be damning his own children and their children.
Should he have children?
Should he have children?
Tane is very much a Shadowbane at this point, so any possibility of having a normal family and children could quite literally be far, far behind him with whatever darkness is in his heart. Talking about Tane while he's like he's not even here.
Well, and Tane actually flinches at her when she says Shadowbane, and then flinches even harder when she says might not ever have a lion. And just like it's...
Those who walk that path don't live very long, my son.
Why does Brost have trouble with you?
I am too honest sometimes.
I know the feeling.
I
Is that
don't
all?
like feet. I don't like children. I'm not going to eat the feet of children, but I don't like either.
Unless they had copper in their boots.
No.
Why would children have? Yeah,
Fern's
we're
laughing
doing this
over
now.
there.
Yeah, no. Why would we have? What coins and socks? What?
Fern
It's
told a
jest.
tale to one of the children,
was a bit of
making
jest.
fun of their rumors. Yes.
Yeah, it won't harm them at all. But
He was making fun of the rumor, not you.
yes,
Ah,
I told the child to put blessed coins in his shoes to keep his feet from being
safe.
eaten by anything. So
I thought you'd find that funny.
she smiles. She goes, "That is gold."
It's kind of like
Not
in Felport
copper.
now when you
That is
pass
gold.
those. It's kind of like in Felport when you pass the windows full of garlic. Like it'll
yes.
help.
No, vampires are. They didn't. What is? I don't understand the
Oh.
meaning of garlic
Oh,
with in relation to vampires.
I believe they think this smell might drive them away. But trust me, I've smelled vampires that would not bother them at all.
that's why I laugh.
Well, Tane, give me the totem, and I will help you.
Fern looks over at Tane and says, "It's up to you. Your choice in this."
Be kinder to the children.
I've never been unkind to the children.
Be politely honest then, instead of harshly honest.
That is not my way.
But
I'm
they're children.
old.
I know you're old, but you said in the beginning that a mother that is not fit for a child is not. And I'm not saying you're a mother, but it's hard on children. They get their heads full of things, just like us adults at times. But
Yes. Oh, I know well.
I look over at Fern, and I said, "This better be worth it." And
Give
I
me the
slide it
names
across
of
the
the
table.
vampire lords and this totem, and I will help you.
Oh, now we're adding things to this.
Yes.
What assurances do we have that what you're going to give us will be worth all of this?
That you will be able to travel to the underworld safely and find your own protection once you find that. And
Yes.
that you will not come back.
I wish you to write down this ritual so we may have it ourselves as well.
That is not for you.
Then the names of the vampire lords may not be for you. Equal exchange of knowledge, I will agree to.
Then I will not help you. You will expire in the underworld as corpses.
But then the path of the Shadow Bane is just lost and worthless. And why should I give you the totem? Do you get what I'm meaning?
That totem
We're both
helps my
risking
research.
something. Balgan, we're both risking here. I get it. And this is why I am offering the totem to you.
I require the totem and the names of these vampire lords. And perhaps the bracelets. And I will give you safe passage to the underworld.
Jane, I don't believe she can actually do it. Take your totem and let's leave and find someone who could actually do this. She asks too much. He stands, firm stands.
Is she accomplished, or can I gauge her? Well, I guess we haven't seen her use anything.
No.
So how about sort of a reading here?
A premonition check.
Yeah,
that would be
premonition check.
It's 21.
All right.
I got an 11. Yeah.
According to Tane, she is pretty, well, actually, you know what? To both of you, she seems pretty deadly serious. Whether you wish to believe that is beyond, it's up to you.
And I said, Fern stands and looks at her, looks at Tane and says, I don't believe she can do this.
We need to see your curriculum vitae and 5 references, please.
Well, she continues to ask for more. We come to an agreement what we'll pay, then she asks for more. We ask for more, and she's, oh no, I can't give you more.
He does have
she
a
asks
point.
for even more after that. I believe she's bluffing us. I believe she is just a poor old lady who happens to live out in the forest, brewing potions that she believes are efficacious.
But she is a good cook.
Scaring children. She is a very good cook. I will give you that, man. That is not to be denied. But we offer a fair deal. This man is offering the potential curse of his entire line. I am offering to give you information that in the hands of the proper necromancer could allow you to summon beings from beyond the veil, possibly. Names that, if they are uttered in the right ears, can get you passage into places that you may have never dreamed of. And you asked for more. You insult us, man.
I'm offering you safety on your journey. That is enough.
Safety is never guaranteed.
You do not think that I can guarantee you safety?
I do not.
Oh, ye of little faith.
You have not met the vampires of Mizarine. And I will tell you this. If I give you those names and you utter them in the wrong ears, they will come for you. And the things they will do to you will make you wish you had never met us. Is that?
That is of no consequence. I know better enough by now.
He sort of, Fern sort of smiles and he says, oh, you little poor mortal. What little you know, the horrors they can inflict upon you.
Do you want my help or do you not?
He said he leans back and sits down, looks over at Tane. What do you think?
Kind of mixed.
The totem, the names, and if we return safely with a bracelet, we'll let you study it, but you may not keep it.
I do not want one. I simply wish for you to draw one for me and leave me the runes.
That I can do.
The totem, the bracelet, and the names is all I ask.
And all we ask is to know what you're going to do is the ritual. Write that down and pass it to me. We'll do a fair exchange there. And then I will give you, Tane will give you the totem. I will give you the names. And Tane, there's one other thing that you may still have that might be of use to her that I would be willing to add in exchange for this ritual, to actually have it written down and know what it is.
She cocks an eyebrow at Tane.
Over at Tane. May I have the tooth, sir?
Man, that's a lucky charm for me.
She
So
says
is
a
that.
vampire tooth?
Yes.
He reaches up behind his
No.
head and
Whose tooth?
I said they grow back.
The tooth
And I
is
pulled
of a
this.
line. The tooth is of a line of one of the noble vampires of Misery.
But you're a half-breed.
I am a half-breed, yes.
You're a Dhampir. You're not a vampire.
And you are not capable of using that to trace a line? I mean, even I can do that.
I suppose. It's not as valuable, I suppose. It's like knocking the gold teeth out of a king's mouth, or
Listen
the
to how she
bastard
says-
son of this king.
It's still a tooth. It's still a tooth. The king's line, is it not?
Well, you're not wrong, but to few people that would be valuable. She actually gets up from her chair and she goes to like a little clay jar, and she comes back over to the table and she like shakes it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a hat full of like fangs.
But those fangs, you don't know what the lineage of those fangs are, do you?
No, there's no lineage to speak of.
Oh well. I've given you my offer.
Let us think on it. I believe that a bit of rest and relaxation might be good. And as I put my hand on the totem with the cloth on my hand, between my hand and the totem, I slide it back and fold it up and put it into my pouch again. And I say, my friend Fern and I will come back tomorrow evening, say. We'll let you think on it and we'll think on it. In the meantime, we will parlay with our other options.
All right.
And I believe that it would be appropriate to bring makings for stew. So if you could kindly write down a list, I'd be happy to bring back some vegetables for you. Or what, since we will be in the
Bringing
city.
yourselves will be just fine.
Well,
come visit me tomorrow evening for dinner. I will have something more vegetarian for.
Yeah, you notice it on the table next to him.
He hasn't touched it.
Well, he's got this pile of meat that he's sifted out of it. He's gonna feed it to his horse.
There you go.
So he stands up and he gives her kind of a polite bow and not a full on, But thank you for having us into your home, Balgan.
Travel safely, boys.
Always.
Gives her a tight nod. As in, he's not necessarily happy and somewhat suspicious.
Mm-hmm. As well he should be. She's fucking country hag who lives in goddamn swamp. Of course she's going to double cross you.
She's wanting the world is what she's wanting.
Well, and the way that Tane was looking at it was he was just like, as stated, Tane is very straightforward. He does not fuck around. And he was ready to just go for it. And Fern was like that buzz in his ear, like, we need to slow down. And he caught it. And he's like, I get it. We need to talk.
Yeah.
And so
had you not stopped Keith Davey, we would have had a coffee is for closers speech for a few moments. But anyway, the next scene that next afternoon at the library.
Okay. So we leave there as we're leaving. Very much, I'm imagine sure Tane knows that. Yeah, I'm very suspicious of her. Yes, she probably can do what she says, but what she's asking for is way too much.
She wants a Ferrari, and all we can give her is all she should be getting is a Ford Pinto.
Yeah, the information we'd be giving her.
Shit.
That's some very. I mean, I'm all in favor of getting people information, but I also want the information myself. So that's literally all he wanted.
So on the way back, I think that we should, I would be talking to you about exploring your options then, because
looking at some of these guys. I know 4 people we could speak with that are scholars in this area that might actually know some things.
Right.
Never hurts to get a second opinion,
next
right?
afternoon at the library.
Okay. All right. So at the library, I'll escort Tane in because I have to explain who he is. Because
this
he probably
guy
hasn't
that
come to the
smells like
library.
a horse.
He probably hasn't come with me very often. I'm assuming to the
Like
library.
the John Wayne walk.
Yeah. And I will go in there and I will ask for. Let's see here. I will ask if. If Verifon or Diplonius is in. Those are 2 names I'm giving these guys. Both of them are scholars of...
Both are in.
Okay. In that case, I'll ask directions. Probably talk to Verifon first.
Just for the sake of the scene, he is a priest of Deemer.
Okay. All right. I'll go in and... greet him. Hello, Verifon. It's been a while since I've seen you. I would like to talk to you about your specialty, if possible. And I have some information I could possibly give to you as well in exchange.
I'm listening.
Okay. We are. Well, I have here. You'll actually pull out and a couple of pages that he's. Some copies he's made of some of his travels, detailing some information about Mizarine. He'll say, I'm willing to give this to you for some information about what you may have heard concerning means of entering the underworld without losing one's life.
He just turns to you and says, why? A little amused, but...
To fulfill an oath.
Research.
I have a friend who has been there, as have I, who made a pact with the Lord of that realm, and he must return to him and sing. But being of the land of the living, it's treacherous for us to do so without some kind of protection. We know how to get there.
You understand that Deemer looks very much disapprovingly upon Faustian deals.
I understand, yes.
You did not think of the ramifications of these pacts when you made them?
I didn't make the pacts. Just a bard, a minstrel did, if you will.
Of course he's a minstrel.
So
well, and I kind of lean over to Fern and I say, well, one could argue that you didn't make the choice of your bargain either.
Well, my bargain is neither here nor there in this situation.
Fernlace, you have a bargain as well.
I
Is it
do.
Faustian? Tell me the truth.
It could be described as such, but is when I firmly intend to fulfill upon.
Have we not, the priests of Demer in this proud and beautiful city, not fallen upon your ears with the guidance of Faustian deals and the treachery therein?
You have, but this one was one that was done in a moment of passion and also as a it needed to be done. Let's put it that way.
I'm going to expedite him browbeating you for 15 minutes with scripture.
Yeah, and I'm just going to sit back because Fern's listening. He's actually, because preach to the God of knowledge. This is more knowledge. He's probably heard it a million times, but still, sometimes you don't. So
this is just review.
Okay. Tane checked out, and he was already looking at the stuff around, like reading labels of books or titles of books, and leaning over and kind of trying to read.
All right. All of that being said, what do you require of me?
I don't know if you have heard any word of a particular type of anklet that is worn by some individuals who have passed into the underworld and survived. If you've heard of where one may be acquired or anything of the making of such, or at least the possibly a means of offering said kind of protection to someone, even for a few chains.
An implement that one could wear to protect oneself against traveling in the underworld?
It's because obviously going to the underworld, the underworld attempts to break down the living body, to destroy it.
Yes, the unliving will consume it.
Yes.
I do not know. But I do know of one. Who may. You spend some time in this library. Do you know of Hath?
I've heard of Hath, yes.
Have you spoken to
him? We have passed in the hallway, but I don't believe I've actually spoken with him more than just a polite hello.
Go up to the fourth floor. Go up to the fourth floor on the east wing. You'll find him in his study there. Go now.
Okay. He slides the pages across to him. It's basically about 3 pages of where he's basically given some description of Misery in general, for a general overview.
It's not a map. It's just a brief description.
A brief description, like a travel log. Basically, he says, this is a first-person account. So
I will put it where it needs to be.
I'll get some more for you if you're interested, or elaborate on any points you may find of interest in there as well in the future.
I will tell you that I am bound to deliver a portion of this information or a copy of this information to Opal herself.
As you wish. So,
does the Temple of Ibis require a copy of this in their own study? And he kind of indicates the library.
Yes. Who would like that there?
All right. As you just kind of see him go, oh, that's more work. My hand's going to fall off. It's going to fall off.
This is why I keep saying, my friend, you need more acolytes. More acolytes to come in here and do the writing for you.
Well, they're all fighting in a war.
Good lads.
Go and speak with Hath, he might know.
Thank you very much, my friend. He gets up and takes his leave.
As we're walking down the hallway, tells Fern, he's like, does he bray like that all the time?
Yes.
Pontificating?
It's expected.
If he were geek culture, I'd have popped him in the mouth.
They mean well, though. They try to keep people from making bad deals with spirits and fae and all such.
But he's not your direct. You do not take guidance from him or his deity.
No. Demir is a god of truths and oaths and debts and such and settling of such. So he's a civilized god, if you will.
I wouldn't let him speak to me that way.
Well, being a god of truth, he is allied with my god of knowledge.
Respect.
No, so
understood.
Okay.
Still, he brayed like a stallion looking upright.
They do, but once again, also you must also understand that you're always, whenever you speak to a priest of Demir, you're going to pay something, and if that is just the moments of listening to him, then that is a tax worth paying for such, because he's also got taxes. So
well put. You were going to say something, I cut you off.
Oh yes, this half I've crossed paths with him in the library, but never actually spoken with him directly. So
yeah, you know his face, and you know that he's one of the. He's got a reputation of being spooky.
Yes, well,
he's an eccentric amongst librarians, and an eccentric amongst eccentrics. But yeah, he has his own study.
Okay. All right. So we'll go up to his study and rap on the door, rapping on his chamber door.
Nevermore.
Mm-hmm.
You hear? Oh, actually, you don't hear anything. You rap on the door, and it echoes, and the door just like clicks open.
All right. Look over at Tane and say, "Don't worry, he's not. I don't think as bad as everyone seems to think." And he steps to the door and says, "Half, may I have a word?"
There's a long pause, and then you hear a rasp from within. "You may, if you bring me those black candles on the table there."
Thank you. I'll go over and pick up the black candles and take them over to where in the room where he is. I'm picturing this room as dark.
It's very fucking dark.
Okay, so yeah, but being
what little light that he has in there, all of two wall torches in this vaulted ceiling of a place, actually burn witch fire, so it's got kind of an eerie blue light.
Okay, so nice brightly lit room for an Umbriad. Gotcha.
No, it's perfect for an Umbriad. Ooh,
and probably cold like a tomb, right?
Oh yeah. So he'll carry these the candles over to him and place them on the desk or table wherever he is sitting, and he says, "We've never actually spoken. I'm for Laius.
I know of you.
This is my companion Tane Halvmain. He's a
Tane, you are a shaman of Agun. You may wish to stand by the door. There's more sunlight out there."
Agun lights my soul.
No,
I am a luminary.
Well, you be luminescent by the door then.
He turns around to Tane and says, "I don't think he means offense, but your aura may actually be harmful to some people, you know."
It's harmful to the ritual I'm preparing. Off with you.
Very, very important.
I don't need sunlight, Tane. Off.
A bit of moonlight? Would that help?
No, I don't need light. He points to the witch fire. Don't need light.
Understood. So
you actually see on a stone table, he's got a pile of bones on there.
Okay.
It's a hobgoblin skeleton.
Okay. Very interesting, actually. Is it fresh? I'll ask.
Well, it was fresh when I killed him.
Okay.
This one has been, he's been mummified 2 cycles now.
Nice. So I do have a question for you, though. Actually, I was directed to you here by Verifon.
What's he want now?
Oh, it's not what he wants. It's what I had to endure to get the information out of him to come see you, actually.
Why didn't you just come and see me to begin with?
Mm,
No need to get the tax collectors involved.
I
Sit.
agree.
He points to a seat across the way.
So he sits down and he says, so I have some information that you may find very interesting.
I may.
But I would actually like to hear if you have something that may be interesting to us as well.
That depends.
Okay. I basically began telling him the beginnings of the story of us going to Mizarine and discovering where we were actually at.
His ears perk up. He's actually a half-breed.
Okay.
Half Umbread, actually half Geet. He's a very powerfully built half-breed.
Interesting. So it would be like if me and Tane had children. Odd. Anyway,
right.
So
what he's doing while you're telling him all this, he has a in his hand he's got the hobgoblin skull, and in the left hand the skull, in the right hand he's got a chisel. He's carving runes into like this eyebrow of the skull, and he's actually filling them in with charcoal as he's doing. He's not looking at you; he's listening.
Okay. So I'll get to a certain point where we actually get to the town, and I say I am willing to give you a copy of the book that I've written about the travels, such with several interesting illustrations and lots of first-hand information about this place in exchange for some information from you. Do you know of a way? Because one of the things we had to deal with when we were there was these anklets. We later found out they protected us from the energy of the world we were in Misery itself.
Oh yes, if he finally puts down the skull and just reiterates, well, if Miserine is in theory a pocket or a portion of the realm of the dead, then the realm of the dead will in fact consume the living. Of course, obvious. This guy is an actual magician. So,
so do you by chance know a way that one might protect oneself from that energy if they were going back to Miserine?
I do. He finally looks up at you now.
And come back.
Well, the comeback part's also fairly important.
What sort of magician, what sort of necromancer do you think I am? I can send you there. I can't bring you back.
Well, we know ways
unless you die, and then I could take your souls and put you back into certain things.
We know how to get back.
Well,
so we've done it once before. So
good, that's work for me then.
So, but would you be able to get your hands on an ability to protect us if we have, say, myself, my friend Tane, one other, were to head down to the Miserine in exchange for a first-hand account of what we find there? And a copy of my previous visit.
Do I get an equal portion of the plunder of this underworld?
We could, I'll look over at Tane. I can bring you things back from there if you'd like.
Pillage the fucking place.
Well, I'd love to, but there's only 3 of us against several very powerful vampires and their...
Oh, come now. You have my distant kinsman. You have another one related in you, half-breed. And then you have a fair folk.
Yes.
A golden fair folk from far off to the west.
Yes.
And you've already been there and back already, and you've already slain how many of these vampires? And they're heathens that they have as pets.
A couple. I will say this. There is a possibility that I might be able to lay my hands upon one of the orbs that are left once a vampire is removed from the land of the living semi-permanently, ran through, beheaded.
You're talking about bringing me vampire hearts.
I could do so. A bit of an expedition there, slay a few vampires, pocket their hearts, bring them back.
I feel that I would be too greedy for you. I can help. I will help. But I feel that I would be too greedy.
Well, Fern sort of laughs. She says, "Oh no, trust me." How many of those would you require to protect us in this way?
He sets down his tools and he crosses his arm over his chest and he actually kind of leans against the stone table in the way it only a Geet raider could. And he says, "How many can you bring me?"
Okay, what do you think?
We're talking hearts?
Yes.
Hearts, fangs, heads, hair, skin, hide, I don't care, all of it. I need parts. Anything
As many as we can
interesting
bring.
that you can bring me back? Yes.
We can do that.
We can definitely do that.
Who will
Can
be
I
going?
make out the ruins from where I'm standing?
The runes on the skull?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's inscribing a series of runes for this ritual. He's attempting to actually raise the skeleton. Once he's finished with the prep work, it's he's got to be painfully careful.
I could bring you a skull of a Dhampir that was slain in the underworld and make the trip both ways at least once.
Just a head?
That's all I have left.
Damn it.
I had to leave the rest.
Oh, what I would do with a Dhampir skeleton? Or even a zombie? Ooh.
You should come with us.
He just kind of pauses and goes, "Can I?"
Well, here we are talking about the possibility of the three of us going, and
I have no problem with half coming along. So
just we would need you to not get in trouble. I don't know you well, and I don't mean any bad
Come
things
now,
by
cousin.
that.
Don't be that way.
Okay, we are very blunt at times, and I got myself into predicaments, so I know that you would too.
And you were swindled into this. I'm asking to come along.
You told him?
Yeah, we just did.
Fern.
Just did.
Oh, he was paying attention to the ruins.
Yeah, he was
you tuned out at part of that story.
I was reading the ruins.
Yeah, I basically gave him the story up to the point where we actually entered the first town where my sire resides.
Maybe
I can definitely take you, make introductions if you'd like.
A necromancer in the underworld wouldn't. No. Or perhaps I shouldn't go along.
Why not? It'll definitely be a learning experience.
Absolutely.
So
that's not the Geet way.
No, it's not. Oh, I'm on the horns of a dilemma. Oh.
I also have a request that actually would be mutually beneficial.
Oh?
But you'd have to come closer to see it.
You stay there. And he actually comes over to you.
And I reach into my pouch and I bring out the fetish and I show him it and I say,
Where'd you have to get this? Oh.
This is from the back of my head.
Is it? Oh, let's see.
Yes. She wanted me. The Banshee Queen
wanted you.
She courted me.
Lucky git.
Not my way.
You could probably make introductions.
I could introduce you to her.
I'm told that banshees are wetter than a fish's wet bits. How was she?
I don't know what she did to me after she kissed me.
Oh. He looks back at Fernalea sorrowfully. Shame.
Some things are probably better that way.
Well, what is this then? What do you want of me?
I need help figuring out how to get rid of it. And I figured you might be interested in it, as in my visions, she crafted it. Which means that she probably did craft it. So her hands have touched this.
He does the spirit fingers at you.
This guy, I like this guy's sarcastic fuckery. He's a little easier to deal with than the hag.
Yeah.
He's kind of got that really confident, but I can back it up kind of swagger.
Right.
That you really wouldn't assume a magician would have.
Well, and technically they're not supposed to be doing this type of work here, right? So he must have some pull. He's not supposed to be raising the dead inside the... Is that a true statement, or
is that in character or is it not?
Out of character.
Is that you have to ask him.
Anyway, back to the fetish at hand.
Right?
But I thought that you might be interested in studying it somewhat, and in the process help me get rid of it.
I am a healthy fae man. I like women regardless of what form they take.
That's not what I was saying. I mean, we could introduce you to her. If you could get her off my hands, then we could try to introduce you to her.
Well, we'll put a pin in that later. But getting you to the underworld. We need a portal. We need preparation. And I need a ward. I need something. Actually, he starts talking to himself, like reciting a few maybe arcane, not alchemical, but alchemical, primitive chemistry algorithms in his head. He's like, oh, I need this, need that, maybe a few spoons of this, a dash of that. Well, no, where did I put that?
We have the portal.
Well, that's one less chore. He's still looking. He's kind of rummaging through his shit. You actually see a black cat kind of like slink out of a shadow and kind of rubs up against one of your legs, Fernelius. He's gonna kind of meow at the floor.
I look down at it.
Its left eye has been put out.
Okay.
And there burns a tiny pit of witch fire.
Ah, okay. I'll reach down and pet it. Hopefully it'll go away.
Still, like a normal cat. You pet it for a little bit, and it gives you the, oh, God, leave me alone, of cats. And then it goes fucks off somewhere.
Is this one of those little, like, jungle cats that the Dusk Bear folk like? Or is this like a cat?
This is a Norwegian forest cat that is all black.
Okay, so it's a good size one, 30 pounders. So, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Not a lynx or a bobcat. Pretty damn close.
Okay. All right. I'll give it a pet or two, and then sort of. I'm not going to offend it by kicking it or anything, but yeah, I'm just going to at that point turn away and back to what he's doing. I'll be listening to this, what he's talking about. Do the little occult insight and see if I can even follow what he's talking about. That's going to be 24.
You can follow him for a portion, but then he gets real fucking specialist, and then you lose him.
Okay.
He goes into a drawer, and he takes out what looks to be some bone. He actually kind of like flicks out an ebon, what looks to be like a flensing knife.
Okay.
Which, I mean, he's way too damn good with that knife. He flicks it out of his sleeve, and he like throws it, and it thunks into the wood portion of the table next to you. He goes, oh, and then Tane, here. And he throws it across the room at you.
What does he throw?
Tane has to make a reflex
Catch it?
save. Yeah, make a reflex save to catch it.
Reflexes.
That's a total of a 20.
Attaboy. You catch a bag of what feels like sand. Goes, that is skull and bone dust from a dead fae that I had taken a few cycles ago. Bring that with us. That'll help.
So you're coming.
Maybe. Well,
We can
bring
get- we
bring
can-
that with us if I come with. Bring that with you if I do not come with you.
Is this is okay for me to carry out of character? It's just bone dust.
You should be fine.
All right. Well, and if you come, then that's just more we can bring back.
True.
Do we have steeds?
Yes.
Undead steeds?
No.
Damn it.
They're very much alive.
Ah.
Remember, Tane over here is he's luminary of Agion, so he tends to like his horses alive.
We're going to need to brand them then, though.
Why's that?
They need to be warded as well, unless you want a pile of horse dust everywhere.
And
Horse dust is like sand. It's filthy. It's gross. It smells like a barn. And it's messy, Tane.
that's a good question, Tane. Did you notice anything on your mare while she was there? His mare has been there, by the way, and back.
Is she healthy?
Is you?
It's
I mean, out of character, I didn't.
I know.
Yeah, it was like
no
an
news
extra
is good
to her.
news. So
Yeah, basically, it's the connection that I have, the bond with my companion. It's she shares.
But yes.
then we should be fine.
But the other
For
But
horse.
no,
one.
the horses need to be warded against the underworld.
It makes
I
sense.
don't know if we need to brand them though. Is there
It's
another
got to
way?
be permanent. Lucky I
Okay.
don't brand all of us. He actually takes up a branding iron. Oh, I don't want to take.
What about an
That's that on the table.
ink?
Ink, tattoos. Do we have an inker?
We do have an
You know
inker.
someone who dabbles.
I'm not good enough, but I dabble. I have the needles. I need more practice.
I'm sure someone here could assist.
I know. Isn't looks over at Tane? Isn't Thorn practicing in that art now?
He has been. In fact, he's been practicing on me.
Oh, okay.
Hath goes and picks out like 8 books and brings them out, sets them on a table next to Fern. He goes, we need to take these two.
Okay.
All of them.
Fern, of course, picks one up and opens it up. I understand. He starts flipping through it.
I
Is,
need to commit that book to memory. If this is going to
Done.
work.
Done. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. It's
It's a grimoire.
Only him?
How long do I have?
As long as I need for this ritual.
Okay. Well, in that case, I'll have someone begin transcribing my book for you. So,
I am still undecided if I'm coming with.
maybe after you look at the book, you may change your mind. There's several things in there, including a sketch of the anklets we wore the last time we were there.
Why don't you leave your book here and you take that one with you and we will read?
That's a good idea.
I'm not doing anything. And he points to the hobgoblin. She's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Fern reaches into his pouch and pulls up that book, the one that he's actually not his notes, but the one of the finished books that he's actually transcribed. And he'll put it on the table. He says, "Okay." So you read that, I'll read this, and we'll learn.
By morning.
By morning,
Mm,
let me do that. academics check real quick.
Think you can do it?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to see. Is it possible I can do it? With 28, could I do it?
Yeah, I am pretty sure you could do it.
Okay.
It would be pushing. Well, you can do it.
I can do it. Okay.
You're not
He
going to
nods.
feel good, but
He nods. I can do it.
so I need a branding iron. We need that dust. We'll bring the witch fire.
Mhm.
I need yellow lotus. Tane, do you have any yellow lotus on you? Or do you know where to find some? It's a sunlight flower.
Mm-hmm.
You won't be doing it here, so it will not destroy my ritual.
Mm-hmm. Is it something that can be found in Felport?
Easy.
Typically. Okay, yeah, we can get that then. Definitely. We can acquire it.
You making a list?
Yes. It's a shopping list. Well, no, we would need a sterile environment for such a thing, and the portal. Is the portal safe?
I don't know for sure. I haven't actually been to the portal.
You haven't been to the portal. Damn.
We've been trying to acquire someone to get us to protect us in the process. We came across an old crone, but unfortunately she was way too demanding.
Aren't they always?
She was like a used horse salesman.
Yeah. Trying to sell us a broken down mule and saying it was a charger.
But she's a very good cook. In fact, we're going back for dinner tonight.
Yes, we are. You want to come? I think you'd really enjoy that. And Fern just grins ear to ear when he says that.
Why would I want to come and speak to this hag?
No reason. Just my personal amusement. But that's neither here nor there. So we just have to inform her that we have found someone who can actually do what she claimed to be able to do for a price that was reasonable. A proper exchange of information and services, and not a one-sided deal for a maybe.
Tame.
Yes.
I might need that flesh totem.
Here we go again.
I'm gonna burn it.
I could have burned it.
You wouldn't do it right.
Well, as long as we can assume it's not going to blow back on me.
Oh no! Well.
Yeah, I think I
no. You'll be all right. You'll be right.
Premonition roll on that. Yeah, that's a 25.
Oh yeah, he's a fucking weirdo, but I mean you can trust him. He seems pretty serious.
Why are your palms so sweaty? That's not normal for geek.
I'm excited.
It's a thing.
It's bad for your work, though.
It's his Umbriad side that happens when we get excited.
Among other things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Do we have any dead woman's hair?
A dead woman's hair?
Dead woman's hair, yes.
We can have some by tomorrow.
We will need that.
Fern looks at Tane. We can have some by tomorrow.
Who are you thinking of?
Well, I mean, we'll lose the stew, but...
Oh, you can kill the hag? Oh, her hair would be ideal. Hmm.
All she's done to us.
So all right. This
Well,
is what
okay,
I need. I
true.
need fey blood. It doesn't matter what kind of fey I need.
We can
We
get
have
that.
the bone dust. I need dead woman's hair and yellow lotus.
We can probably procure some dead woman's hair from the guards. So if we go to the city guard, I'm sure there's at least one hanging out there on one of the crosses they have in their backyard.
Oh yeah, no. So just find a criminal and take their hair.
Yeah, so we do that. Do you need the whole hair? Or can it be cut? Does it be pulled from the scalp or cut?
It won't matter.
Okay.
I always just yank it off because I'm too lazy to just cut it.
Mm-hmm. We can definitely go and speak to someone about getting that. That's no problem. So
find these things for me, and I should be able to do this for you.
Okay.
If I can finish my ritual here.
Okay. So we have bone dust already. Need some yellow lotus. Fey blood, easy to get. I know someone who actually has fey blood. Pure fey blood, exactly. So
well, that would be most ideal.
Yeah. And
thank God the last time we had to get the whiskers from a dead woman's nipples. That was rough.
That was rough. I mean, yeah.
Finding a woman with hairy nipples.
Yeah, because
the laughing is in character too.
Tane is looking straight faced, but I think Fern's picking up on his humor.
Fern at first looks and goes, "What do you mean, Les?" Oh, right. Okay. So yeah.
Would it be better if it were pubic hair?
You're collecting that, Tane. Of course, you collect that regularly. Anyway, I think we can definitely get book with this, though. So I will memorize this.
Following me?
No, I don't need to. I memorize this book. I can see you everywhere. You know, Ibis knows. I can memorize this book. Tane, here's a shopping list. And we can, you get together the stuff. I'll read the book, and we need to go back and speak to the hag and let her know that we found someone who actually has proper skill and training in such a situation. So,
should I bring the branding iron?
To her, yes.
No. On the trip.
If you think you need it.
I think I might need it.
I know they're very fond of their brands in the underworld. So,
all right. Is branding a common experience thing in this?
Perhaps. I mean, they brand slaves all the time.
I'm just thinking the tattoo might be better because it heals better and doesn't scar.
True.
And that's coming from a Agun follower.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, but it would take longer and it would be more painful.
Mm-hmm. True. It will take longer and more painful to do it that way. Brand is just over and done.
Yeah.
So in the long run, it might actually be kinder to the horses to brand them than it would be to tattoo them.
Yeah. Okay. Under the circumstances, I think that I can be forgiven.
As the overseer of the game adds a 6th level necromancer to the party. Okay. Oh, son of a bitch, that D&D me. Oh, fuck, he's bringing out another book. He adds a paladin to the party. Anyway. Hath.
Next game.
You're right. Hath has a bunch of scrolls, bunch of papers, bunch of books under his arms, and he's got. I really didn't get to describe him much. He's wearing a kind of a dirty, kind of like a charcoal gray robe. That's got like mystery stains all over it. Of you don't want to know what. There's kind of a day-old stink on him, and like maybe a good 3 months of growth stubble on his face, and his hair is ever so slightly greasy. So he's been cooped up in here for quite some time. Very much like Sherlock in the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock. If you've been up here for God knows how long, you realize what you're drinking is made for eye surgery. Care for a drop. And yeah, he's only been eating coffee beans. Now, no, he takes Fernlace's book and he sets it, actually lays it out on the main desk, clears a spot for it, and he goes to sit down and he begins reading, and his cat up into his lap just curls up with his big black furry blanket. It's the lap warmer. And he is going to be busy for the end, for basically until you're done with him.
So in that case, Fern is going to have to go back to his study and do the same thing. He's going to start reading what he was given as well. Sans cat.
The Yellow Lotus will cost you a platinum. I know that Thorn has a plat on him. I don't remember who else is quite wealthy. I know Fernlace is actually quite wealthy.
I think I still have one of those strange platinum coins.
I have a platinum. So
Okay.
not a
Local
lot.
minted.
Yes, local minted platinum.
Yeah. The Yellow Lotus is pretty hard to come by here.
Okay. So,
But it's easy to obtain, obviously, with the right amount of money.
Okay. I'm sure the obtaining the dead woman's hair will probably cost us a few coppers with the guard.
Oh, yeah.
So
They charge 2 coppers. Yeah, take as much as you want.
there you go. All right.
Does she have hairy nipples? Is that a weird question?
I'll pay you a silver to check them all.
That corporal specific next, you know what? It's a private. No, it's a private. The sergeant tells the private to go check everyone's tits, and this poor kid has to spend a couple hours checking all the dead women's titties.
And the sergeant's silver piece for delegation.
He winks at you.
Well done. Well done.
When he walks away, it's like, yeah, I was just kidding, actually, but
Nope.
well played.
And the private comes back with 4 nipple hairs. And he says, well, 2 of those corpses were pretty ugly enough to be, were ugly enough to be considered men, but I checked all of them. So
I will give him a copper per hair.
You never know.
Yeah, because you never know. Right, do that. All right. And yes, I will take those as well. Because he did not say from the head of a woman. He just said the hair of a dead woman. So maybe that's more efficacious because it's there. So he turns around as we're walking up to Tane. Hey, you sure you don't want to check the pubic hair too?
What?
That's on you, though. That's on you, though.
You think they'll let us?
That's on you if you want to. I'm sure they'll let you.
No, that would be improper. That just,
Okay.
No.
Okay.
they've already violated the dead enough today, I think.
Yeah,
So
that would be bad.
We have the dust, and we're going to be asking Thorn for a bit of blood.
Oh yeah.
So
He'll I suppose cut his hand and he'll bleed into a vial for you.
okay. So
You'll take 1 point of vitality damage there, which will be fine.
okay.
Fey blood is quite sweet.
6 and a 7, so that's 13 plus my self-control. It's 24. So
Yeah, you can take. Yeah. You can hold it together.
Okay.
Looks tasty though.
Oh yeah. So all right. And I said then we'll read finish reading probably overnight, and then we'll have to do our visit back to the hag, I guess, the next day.
When you arrive, you know what? Did Hath come with? Of course he did.
Yeah.
In the geetish fashion, you he swaggered along with you, but he took some convincing because he was almost done with his ritual. He was not quite finished. Bitching the whole time on the way there about I was trying to etch onto the finger bones. You know what it takes to etch finger bones?
Imagine.
But you get to meet vampires.
Yes, but
You get to bring home research material.
how many times am I going to be able to raise a hobgoblin woman to cook for me?
What you do in your bedroom is none of my business.
I can't do anything with her. She's dead.
I'm sure you'll find a way.
Oh,
Yeah,
well.
Fernless looks over him and says, "You lack imagination, my friend." Anyway, I'm sure Tane here can find all kinds of things to do with her. But
What?
There's plenty of bones in that pile.
yeah, Fern just sort of chuckles at that. Finally getting one on Tane for once.
When
He's
you
a bit of a
arrive at the hag's hut, she is not pleased by there being a fourth there.
Brought you some more cheese.
Mm.
He has a wedge of cheese. We brought an expert here to evaluate what you're going to do as well. So, by the way, meet Hath.
Good evening, madam.
And,
she just nods to him. And he's like, and he doesn't have a holy symbol or a god of any kind. He hasn't spoken to you, God, about what his faith is, but his effigy is actually 2 bones, a tibia, and a radius, the shin and forearm bones tied together, and it's going to really make Tane angry. Horse hair, bronze nails, and ghoul teeth on like little wax strings. That's his fetish.
Yes, his shaky fetish. Okay. I'll give her the cheese. I'll say, ma'am, it was a pleasure speaking with you yesterday, and we have thought about your offer, and we are going to decline.
Oh, and what of Tane's predicament with the banshees?
Resolved.
Well, Hath kind of puts it, oh, it's not entirely resolved yet.
It's getting there. It's getting there. It's getting there.
I haven't bet any of them yet. Don't ruin this for me.
So he looks back at the lady and says, it is being resolved as we speak.
Aha. She looks on very disapprovingly.
But
well,
perhaps I should send some of this stew with you to go then. I'm quite busy this evening.
That's not necessary. He thinks about it for a second and almost turns around and says, yeah, they thought these. No, it's not necessary. With a sigh of,
You hear Hath's ensorcelled words in your ear. Do not take her food. They may or may not be poisoned.
Fern sort of nods. And
I was thinking the same thing, but
well, that's he cast the spell whisper in the wind and actually went to both of you.
Okay. Yeah, Fern sort of nods and he says, it's not necessary, ma'am. I understand out here. It's food's hard to come by, and the cheese will help with that a bit. One should always be it should always honor those who are their seniors as such. But as I said, we have resolved our issue and will not require your services.
She nods. She goes back inside.
Okay. With that,
Very good.
shall we?
Hopefully Fern didn't burn the bridge completely if we ever have to.
Fern, as you sort of whisper that, Fern's like, Tana's going to burn her hut. What are you talking about?
Wow.
Well, I mean, she creeped me out.
True.
Hath chuckles. He goes, I could have blighted her where she stood and on her doorstep.
Oh yeah. Oh well, she's just a poor old lady trying to make a copper or two, and everything else.
She's a cut wife. She lives out here just to help young women when they let unsuspecting hands in their skirts.
By the way, you're very knowledgeable about stuff like that. If you were to take the intestine of a goat and place it upon your member, and then impregnate a woman, is that how you create a satyr?
No, satyrs are goat men from the forest, and they can have sex with mortal women to create more satyrs. There are no female satyrs.
Okay, I was just wondering because I've always wondered that makes sense though.
But I have heard
about goats. So.
I have heard of this depravity of putting the intestines of an animal on your tool, and that is like a net if you want to catch your fishes before it finds the woman, I suppose. It's quite unsanitary, and you
seemed odd to me. I mean, I don't know. Either way, so
I like hobgoblin women myself, but hey,
I can understand.
What gave it away? Tane's just kind of being quiet at the moment. He's just chuckling to himself because these two are just whatever.
Either way, he goes out and hops up on one of the horses. He will remount Fordrin because that's now become Fernlace's favorite horse, and bring him to head back toward town. And he'll, as he rides away, he's like, let me tell you the story one time about Tane and how well. I will just say this: there was a discussion concerning about, and of course this is getting quieter as we're going along. Concerning the fact that he's a horse for value, and the fact that he can satisfy a horse and flump. So that's in the book, by the way.
Well, the Keletherians are said to take centaurs as wives, and that's how some centaur maidens are born, as well as some mortals of that tribe are born. I don't know if you find the hindquarters of a woman of that stature breathtaking, then by all means, my friend.
I've always found that the visions of Agium that I've seen, she is very beautiful, but I don't think that I would ever want to bed her. But
yeah,
our tribe just doesn't do that. But that's to each their own. Everybody's got to ride their horse their own way.
It is true.
Find yourselves back in Hath's laboratory, and he sets himself back to work, finishing his ritual. Do we have all of the provisions packed and ready for us to find the portal?
I can have them ready by dawn or would it be dawn or sundown? That would be better for the ritual.
I would like to leave as soon as possible.
I can arrange to have some provisions brought together rather quickly.
Within the hour?
It would cost more, but yes, probably I can do that.
Let's do that and leave.
Okay, so he'll actually go down and grab one of the acolytes, hand him a dozen silver pieces, and give him a list very quickly. It's written down of cheese, wheat for or ground wheat for bread, and also for thickening and stuff like that. Some beans, some dried meats. basically enough to keep 4 people alive for, say, 3 chains, and also some fodder for animals, for horses. Actually, he'll throw a few more silver in there, and he'll say, whatever's left over you can keep. But I need this within the hour.
At that point, you're able to summon Thorn.
Okay.
He'll meet you. You'll find it takes a little bit for him to find the library. He's been under a serving maid, or he's been on top of one and drinking. So either way, it takes him a while to find you. Now, back in the laboratory, you have your provisions. Hath has everything he needs to perform this ritual. And he pauses in all of his packing. He has 2 backpacks set up, and he's actually raised this skeleton of this hobgoblin woman. He's put clothes on her, or what's left of her. He's put armor on her. He's put one of the backpacks on her. She's got a hood. And after all of this playing dress up, he really can't tell unless you look under that hood.
Fern is also going to get this time 3 journals to take with him, additional ink. So,
Hath will share his. He's got plenty.
I would imagine while we were gathering supplies, Tane went down and readied the horses, made sure they were clean. And
how many steeds are you taking with? You're going to have a cart, and it's going to need at least 2 horses to pull it.
Okay, so
it's
that's
probably 5 total, maybe.
Is Thorn going to want to ride, or?
He'll probably be the driver.
Right. Okay. Is Fern going to want to ride?
Fern actually prefers to ride in the cart, but he'll want to bring. He's now got himself a. He's liking Fordrin. He'll bring Fordrin with him.
Okay. What about Hath?
Hath will ride a horse. Yeah. Hath knows how to ride a horse.
And I'm not aware of his significant other, but I don't think she's riding, right?
Yeah. No, she or her self will ride or walk. Ride in the cart or just walk, obviously. And Hath is he's kind of beaming while you guys are putting all this. He goes, hired help, and it never tires.
The horse?
The hobgoblin woman.
Oh.
He points to the dressed up skeleton.
Abomination.
It's not.
Well, I mean, from what I understand from my studies, typically 2 humans can exert as much force as 1 person pulling a cart if actually need be. But being a skeleton, having less musculature, I would think 4. It would take 4 of those to be equivalent of 1 horse. So 8 of them to pull this cart. Would that be what you would say there, Hath?
We don't have that much time, and she'll never tire.
True.
So no.
Okay. Just a thought. It was a thought that ran through my head. So. All right. So yes, 5 horses. It seems like, and then we'll have to prepare them. I'm sure. Correct. The branding. Will we have to be branding
on? Yeah. No. Yes. We'll want everything to match.
Okay. Are you okay with this, Tane? Being branded?
Well, it is a ward, so that's how I'm justifying it, that it's okay. Mm-hmm. So the ward does carry, and it's permanent at that point, so this is a good thing. So Tane's okay with it for that reason. He's probably going to dote a little harder on the horses and use because he notices that they're in pain and he feels a similar pain. So, yeah.
Yeah, he hasn't hidden this branding iron, has he? He's been very open with it. So I just got a good look at it.
He's very Italian with it when he talks. He waves it around.
I'm going to do a, I guess it would be an awareness test to see if it looks familiar at all. It's a 22. Does it look similar to any of the brands I saw in Mizarine?
No.
Okay.
It's not shaped. It's just a bar of metal at this point. He's got to shape it into a symbol, but he'll have to. He's planning to do that once he actually gets to the portal before you all step through.
Yeah, but once we get everything loaded up, we can head out, and we'll follow the directions to the portal. That was Thorn's thing anyway. It was the portal where it was actually at.
Right. And Thorn will direct you there. It takes you the allotted time to get there, but like stated, it is a lonely place, an abandoned farmstead with a couple outbuildings, and the portal itself, you find it's in one of the stone outbuildings. Looks to be like a shed at one point, or like a permanent, not a chicken coop, but a place to have to shelter one's birds or smaller animals and such. But over the cycles long enough, this building, it's much more vast on the inside than it is on the outside. In the back of this outbuilding is a long black hallway. It's just a hallway. There's no glowing portal. There are no runes to speak of. It's just a mournful tunnel that goes off into the darkness that radiates a smell and the feeling of a grave. You're standing outside of this building with the two front doors open wide, conveniently just wide enough for the cart. And Hath just looks at the three of you and says, well, it seems stable enough.
I've been assured it was, although my experience doesn't extend much to this. Fern is doing what he does when he's a bit nervous about something. He has gotten one of the journals out and flips it open and starts looking around and starts dipping, popping his little ink bottle open, dipping his quill in there, and starts to write down his thoughts.
I'm going to need a fire. We should probably brand everyone now and then step through, because we don't know what's on the other end of that hallway.
Agreed.
What time is it now? Is it closer to morning?
On the day that you get there, it's about mid-morning.
Okay, I would like to take if they'll give me the time, I'd like to do a sunlight ritual and imbue my weapons with sunlight.
Hath will have you do that away from the rest of the group.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I'll cover myself with horses. I'll just have him stand around me so he doesn't even have to. It's horse flesh. That way he doesn't have to see any of the. Yes.
He's being super precious about sunlight. No. Hath will be there for a good 3 hours preparing this whole thing. He's shaped this branding iron into a symbol that it's a rune, actually, that of his own working. So once the thing is hot, he just kind of like sighs and I guess everyone line up.
Well, Fernless during that 3 hours is going to do his own ritual off to one side. And though it's not under the moonlight, so it's going to be probably more difficult for him to pull it off. He is going to imbue just a bit of moonlight into some water, a bit of light into some water, with the idea that he is going to, well, when he exposes it to the moonlight, it's going to glow, basically. He's going to capture that moonlight and glow. Literally, that's all it's going to be. So, basically a light that he might be able to, like, say, pass to Tane to help light his way if his sunlight flickers and fails, basically. Or actually, not. Actually, he's going to reconsider that because this is midday. He wouldn't be able to pull that off.
Yeah, what little bit of the moon is out, it's it's that phenomenon you see the moon in the sky during the day. So, but Hath will be preparing all of this. He throws the bone dust in there. The skull bone dust actually puffs up this kind of like blue-green sickly spore, and he gets what this looks to be like a like a sieve one would use for separating the chaff from the flour, and he catches that really quick and he puts that away because that'll be for later. And he kind of looks a little apologetically at Tane. He says, all right. He picks up this branding iron. Who's first? Well, I suppose I should be first, eh?
Tane walks over there and unshirts his hauberk because he's looking at his mare so that she sees that he's going first. And he wants it right in the middle of the back of his shoulder blades, if that's...
Right on the spinal column? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hath will get right up there and he goes, I'll be gentle. My hand's not very heavy to this sort of thing. And he just...
That's what she said.
He pokes you with it, sets it on there for like maybe like 2-3 seconds and lets go quick. It's a few moments of searing hot pain and then there's the aftermath of smoking flesh.
And in that process, I would imagine I took like my belt or something and put it in my teeth and just bit down on it so that I could take the pain.
The first thing Fern will do is take one of the poultices that they put together, Tane and putting together for dealing with these brands, and slap that onto his back. So,
how's it look?
Be a 13 on the apothecary check.
All right.
So it looks okay. It should heal okay, I think. So
put some cool water on it with that poultice. This should be better then.
Okay. A bit of cloth and a bit of water nearby and do that. So give it a bit of time.
Hath will hold out his forearm and he'll smack himself with it. Mm-hmm. He'll put it on the meat of his forearm there.
Fern will take off his robe, and then he'll pull up his sleeve and ask to put it right there on the upper arm of his right arm.
Okay. Hathel actually, it was the arm that was holding the branding iron was the one that actually got Brandon. So he very shakily passes it off to the other hand, and he very gingerly just.
And for Thorn, we're putting it right here.
No. You're not branding him a fugitive. No.
So yeah, okay. And I said we'll spread the poultices around to everyone. And I guess we do the horses last, right?
Oh yeah. Hath will go through all the horses, but no, once he gets to Tane's mare, he'll just kind of look over at Tane.
I just walk over.
I'm not
to
doing
her
that. He hands it off to you.
I walk over.
You're doing it. I could not do it.
I walk over and I kind of put my head against hers, and I'm just sending her soothing thoughts, and I just, this is what we need to do. And then I walk over and just press it up against her haunch.
I'll go out on a limb and say she doesn't make a sound. Total trooper about it.
Just the sizzling of flesh, horse flesh.
Yeah, right. Fortune was a little bitch about it, though. He's very vocal.
Yeah. So after we're done, I'm like, well, I think it's time for dinner. I'm getting a little hungry now.
Hath will conjure up a statue of a bat, and he'll actually hang it on like one of the sill, like the top sills of this like outbuilding that actually houses the portal, and he'll actually kind of lay down with his materials and relax for the evening.
Yeah, I will make dinner and make sure we all eat. Good hearty meal last evening in the World of the Living before we go down. And then at moonrise, he will do his ritual.
Attaboy.
He will have his moonrise.
What he is going to do is he's going to get some clear water. He is going to lay out a piece of parchment, and he's actually going to draw on the parchment several different letter runes in the XIV language. He is going to, of course, use his quill, which is a feather, and he is going to place it to where it's visible as the moon can catch it, and put this water in a small bowl or something like that, so you can actually catch the actual light of the moon. And he's going to do an incantation over it for one person, because Fern can see in the dark. There's no problem with it. He knows that Hath can because he's half Umbriad himself. No problem there. He's not sure about the Fae, but from what he's been told, the Fae can do the same. But he knows Tane cannot. So he's thinking that he might be able to imbue this water so that when Tane drinks it, at least until the next dawn, he might be able to see nearby around him in the darkness as if he were under moonlight. So it won't be like perfect vision, but at least he won't be blind, especially if you're going in the long hallway with no light down it. There's no telling how long we'll be in there, how long it will last. So once he is done with that, he has to do his roll for that. 6, 7. So that is going to be a 15, 21. Total is going to be a 27. And then that would cost him 1, right?
Is it affecting one target?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so he spends his 1 magic point. And then when he is done with it, he'll take it over, he'll actually pour it into a cup. Now, I'm assuming this water probably has a slight glimmer to it. Go over to hand it to Tane.
Yeah, it'll have a little bit of luminescence. Yeah.
There you go.
This abandoned farm has a well, so
Okay.
likely where you got it.
Yeah. So here you go, Tane. Drink this. It'll help you be able to see in that darkness beyond.
Really?
Yes. Blessing from the moon.
Did you piss in this?
No.
Did you spit in it?
No.
Ibis spit at it.
He just kind of winks at you and starts drinking it.
Okay.
It's some of that geet, blunt, dry humor.
That's all right. I understand.
Right. And as he's looking down at his hands, he's just like, wow, that's new, different.
A little bit of tingling in your fingertips.
Mm-hmm. So hopefully this
Liking
will
that.
So will help your vision.
Thank
After
you.
dinner, you've taken a few moments to yourselves. And once you've put your minds in the right spot, steeled your own hearts, you prepare for that trek down that long hallway. At that point, you begin, we'll say, Tane strides first down the hallway. He's our beacon of light at this point. And we'll go with closing soliloquies as you begin your descent into the underworld. Tane, what do we see of his mind and heart in this dark, shadowy hallway?
Tane feels very accomplished in this circumstance. He's feels prepared. He feels like Agyun has blessed him with forethought and blessed him with capable companions, although he's still unsure about that Hath guy. He's we might end up having an argument before this trip's over, but we'll see. But when he had done the ritual before and finished, throughout the day, he had kind of busied himself making a horse effigy, and he left it on the windowsill of the house. He got it just for 14 for knots.
Perfect.
So it looks like a horse. And he took a little bit of the soot and actually accentuated it a little bit. And he's thinking on that and thinking on, as he looks at his companions, that he can actually see, and he nods at them and grips the hilt of his sword, feeling the warmth of Agyun, knowing she is with him. And he grabs his mare's reins and begins striding forward as he's kind of keeping his back, his elbow or his shoulder blades a little arched, like when you have a sunburn, as best he can to keep the pressure off of the wound. And he's kind of sending soothing thoughts to his mare as he seeks to step off into the unknown, into the arms of Agyun, if you will.
Fernelius.
So Fern will follow Tane and his mare, leading Fordrin behind him. His pouch bulging with these journals on his side, being a comfortable pressure to him. Whereas Tane, has always relied on his horse and his knowledge and his connection there. That he's starting to realize that pressure of those books, the weight of that knowledge, is a similar comfort to himself. Earlier, when he did the ritual, one of the first rituals he's ever actually carried out, he felt the connection between himself and Ibis, and seeing in his mind, at least, possibly the great library. Its stacks running off into the distance. Ibis sitting there, his large frame, bent over, writing into a scroll, possibly of the events that are currently going on, possibly of some other faraway place. And he felt a bit of that energy, that knowledge, that mind sink into his, and through him call to the moon, which is associated with Ibis in that culture, in that regard, because it is the eye of Ibis to the Ibisian worshippers, looking down upon the world and seeing all that there is, and imbuing that into that water. He felt it pass through him and thought to himself, this must be what Tane feels when he contacts Yin, or something similar. And he knew at that moment that he needed to give this to Tane, because if one cannot see, then there is knowledge that is not gained. And it increases the knowledge of one to see in the dark as we do. So by increasing that in the world, he's increasing Ibis. And he thinks about that, and thinks, that's a bit high-minded, high-browed for me, but I'm just helping a friend. Ibis knows that. And he, as he's walking in that hallway, he sees Tane ahead of him, head held high, looking forward, that slight glow from his weapons, illuminating a small patch around him, but knowing he can see beyond that in the darkness that even now Fernleus can see into. It comforts him. His friend won't be surprised. And, Tane hates surprises, especially the horses hate surprises. He looks over his shoulder once again, thinking about this new path, and wondering if he's going to be someone to watch, possibly.
We will then go to Hath's soliloquy for the evening. Hath's mind, being a necromancer of his stature, especially within Felport, his state in the library, the people he knows, the people who he is connected with, and the secrets that he himself hides from the rest of the world, because he knows things that should not be. He knows that however, he is not an arch necromancer by any means. He is a student. But the Geet inside him screamed to the ends of the earth when an opportunity arose to pillage the underworld of what things, necromancy, and dead secrets could be his. Could hardly contain himself. But the Fae in him, the nearly ageless, long-memoried thing, he thought of his mother. A woman clad in snow leopard and black silk garments. He thought of his family. He was scared that he might not come back. His father was a raid leader, a Geetish raid leader, who had caught the eye of this Fae woman And unlike Geet fashion entirely, no, it's more often the men go out and seek wives. I will take this woman as my wife. No, 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 no. It is Hath's mother who said, "You are mine now, husband." And you have no argument. He thought again to the story that what would they speak of Hath if he was not to return all of the secrets in his studies? He has a little bit of a panic attack there. Why, oh no, I can't leave. And he brings up the rear, and as his companions begin their dark trek down that tenebrous hallway, he's astride his mottled gray mare that he's been borrowing from Tane, and she's a bit skittish. She senses that he's skittish. He watches his companions down the hallway. He turns back. He turns all the way around in the saddle blanket. He looks back into the fading sunlight of this hallway, back to the realm of the living, and he's terrified. Like his hands begin to quiver. He draws a Geetish long axe from his pack. He just lets the thing dangle from his hand. It's most lengthy extension. It's almost reaching the floor. And he just feels the weight of the axe. He feels the warmth of the dying sun. He looks back to his companions. He's intrigued by these companions nonetheless. But he cannot lose his secrets in that study because he didn't lock the door. He takes a few moments. His self-control, he is able to take it to keep it together. And down the hallway, there's an echo that meets the rest of his companions. Says, damn, fine. And a canter of hooves comes down the hallway. Pillage, fame and glory. We'll see it done, and we'll come back. And in his mind, he thinks, this portal is indeed stable. I can feel it. The spirits say that it's stable. But I don't know if we can come back this way. We will have to plunder another portal back to the realm of the living then. And with that, the stage curtains will close on this session. We will be back next week. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. Good night, all.